Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of the British and Irish Lions tour. This one, the Waratahs taking on the British and Irish Lions. It's going to be intriguing. Few more switches for this Lions team, of course. It is a pretty long tour, so you want to avoid those injuries. But sadly, we did see another one in the last match, and it seems to be the guys who are in the best form that are going down with the injuries. At the moment, first it was Thomas Williams, now it is Elliot Daly. He has been ruled out of the rest of the tour, which does bring in Owen Farrell as his injury replacement. But looking through at the starting lineup, we will start with the Lions in this fixture, but they have gone, like I said, wholesale changes compared to what they had in their last contest, but that's exactly what you need to do in a longer tour. The last thing that you want is to overwork certain players. Of course, last tour we saw so much of Duan van der Merwe this year. I mean, there's a couple guys who have had a few minutes, but I wouldn't say anyone's had insane amounts of time out on the field as of yet. That is the Waratahs. There we go. So Hugo Keenan, he finds himself in that number 15 jersey. He was initially supposed to be playing 15 last week, then was ruled out late due to sickness. So he actually gets his Lions debut in this contest alongside Blair Kinghorn, who will also be a debutant Lion after the other injuries we have seen earlier on. Piers Skillman, Luke Cowan, Dickey, and Finlay Bilham will be the 1, 2, and 3. Tyke Byrne alongside James Ryan in the locking duo with Henry Pollock at 6, Josh Van den Flower at number 7, and Bernal slotting in as the number 8. Alex Mitchell and Finn Smith as that 19 combination. So the English teammates in that combo there. They are talking to Dan Bigger at the moment. I wonder if there's another injury, whether or not he'll get called up as a possible fill-in replacement. Sione Tuipulotu alongside Hugh Jones in that midfield combo with Kinghorn, Hansen, and Keenan as that number 15 for the Waratahs. They have got a pretty strong-looking front row in Lambert, Dobbins, and Taniela Tupou. Fergus Lee Warner alongside Amata Cero in the locking duo with Rob Leota, Charlie Gamble, and Hugh Sinclair, I should say, sorry, in the number 8 jersey. It is going to be his last game for the Waratahs. Rob Leota, of course, a very physical man. Same with Charlie Gamble in that number 7 jersey. Be entertaining to see him go head-to-head with Josh Van der Flower. In terms of the backline, it is Teddy Wilson alongside Bowen as the 9-10. Joey Walton and Lalakai Foketi make up the middle with Darby Lancaster, Andrew Callaway, and Lawson Creighton at number 15. So, those are the lineups, ladies and gents. Are we finally going to get past 60 points today? Says 9HD. Yeah, they've been very close in their last 2 games. 54 in their first match up against was the Western Force, then 52 in their game up against the Reds. And to be honest, the Reds I don't think played terribly throughout their matchup. Unfortunately, though, it was that rhythm when the British and Irish Lions found it. There was just no way of stopping them scoring. Evening Hamish says, Daniel, welcome in. And also British and Irish Lions will be too strong for the Waratahs. Although, I did find an interesting stat, which was the Waratahs are the most successful provincial side out of Australia up against the British and Irish Lions. They've had 4 wins in total, more than any other province or any other side out of Australia. And 2 of their 6 wins in 2025 came versus semi-finalist Brumbies and finalist Crusaders, I think was the other one that they had there. Or in fact, it might have actually been the Chiefs that they bet this year in Super Rugby Pacific. My son and his boy are at the game. They don't expect a Tars win. Let's see what happens, says Honor. And that's the thing. Like, these games aren't expected to be that close, but then that means when they are a little bit similar to what we just saw between New Zealand and France, that when they are close, that is what gets people very much invested in the matchup. So the Waratahs need to start well. We've learnt that from the last couple of games for Australian sides up against the British and Irish Lions. When they don't get it right, you have to make them pay. It's 17 minutes away from the kickoff of this contest. Of course, it will not be the last game that we are covering on the channel today. We have also got another contest between Italy and South Africa. That will be the 3 a.m. kickoff, but we will be starting at 2 a.m. New Zealand time. Excited to see this backline in action, though. Blair Kinghorn, of course, playing in the top 14, celebrating the big win for Toulouse, alongside the likes of a Jack Willis, who I believe now is headed over to face up against Argentina. They are also going to be playing a bit later on for today. Ben White will be making his way off the bench. He was one of the guys added in as an injury replacement. Marcus Smith still at number 23. McCarthy at 19. Scott Cummings as the number 20. So a little bit of an interesting bench here for this British and Irish Lions team. Tyke Furlong, Dan Sheehan, and Ellis Genge as the front row replacements. Vailanu, he is a dangerous ball runner when he does get possession. Barrett and Bota, the other two in the front row. They've got Matt Phillip as the number 19, Jamie Adamson at number 20, and then Grant, Edmed, and O'Donnell as the number 23. But once again, it does look like a decent crowd showing up for this British and Irish Lions match. You would expect that for the tour. I know that a lot of these games, they're expecting over 40,000. This one at Allianz Stadium, the home crowd for the Waratahs. Our Waratahs are going to win out of sheer spite, says Cited, when how the Aussies have had to look at the Lions time, or at the Lions time for the Tahs to step up. Here we go again. I might need a beer for this one, says Fleshin in there as well. And currently, I was going to actually do a little bit of a tally of how many tries each nation had scored. Jack Morgan, of course, the lone Welshman. He was able to score last week, though. And it also shows the Lions haven't conceded a point after halftime on the tour as of yet. So that'll be something the Waratahs do want to try and break, I guess, in terms of the record that they are currently creating. Lions replacement have a total of 345 test caps too, so that is a fair few in that regard. Andrew Callaway going to be playing out on the wing here for the Waratahs. He is in that Wallaby squad, same with Rob Leota, so those two getting a bit of inside knowledge perhaps as we head closer and closer to that first test. Morning all, says Richard, welcome in, and don't forget our state teams playing against the world side, says Peter Stowers. That is true, and that is why when they get some sort of massive upset, it is even more substantial. You know, they are versing a world-class team in the British and Irish Lions, made up of great players from Ireland, Wales, Scotland, and also the English. They are just showing, of course, Darby Lancaster also on that left wing side. He'll be one to keep an eye on for his pure pace. And I feel like there are quite a few people trying to jockey for that left wing spot at the moment across the Wallabies. Oh, wow. Okay, I didn't realise this. The Waratahs are the most successful Australian side when it comes to facing the British and Irish Lions, but they haven't beaten them since 1958. It's like 70 years, almost. So that's quite impressive. And if they were somehow able to win it now, that would make it very substantial, I guess you could say. Who would win? Or who won between Scotland versus the Māori All Blacks and Wales and Japan. So I know that Scotland got themselves a narrow victory over the Māori All Blacks by 3 points, which I think is a pretty impressive one with the fact that they were missing their international regular players, the likes of Hugh Jones, a Sione Tuipulotu, who both find themselves in the starting lineup for this match. Just looking through, I see James Ryan, Scott Cummings as that starting duo. So I don't think Cummings is in that number 20 jersey. It's actually, well, on this one it says it's Duan van der Merwe, and on my one it said it's Scott Cummings, so I have no idea who's at 20 for the British and Irish Lions. It is Duan van der Merwe, my apologies. Yeah, it is actually Duan. That confused me a little bit, but it's going to be playing as a flanker potentially in this game, unless they have also got it wrong on their lineup. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, Henry Pollock out for this match is what has just been confirmed. And that means that it's Scott Cummins and James Ryan in the starting lineup with Tyg Byrne at 6, I believe is the case now. So that was Henry Pollock injury, ladies and gents. Bit of a calf one. It doesn't sound like it's too serious, but they also don't want to risk him in this match. Duan van der Merwe, now a hybrid player as well. No, I think it's just a 5-3, but they have him as the number 20, as that's where he's replacing, if that makes sense. But yeah, in the Japan versus Wales game, it also was pretty close, and Japan got themselves the win 24 points to 19 in that contest as well. But still to come tonight, South Africa versus Italy. That is going to be happening at 3:10 a.m. New Zealand time. There is Georgia versus Ireland, which will be happening at 5 a.m. alongside Brazil versus Argentina XV. Chile versus Romania at 7 a.m. and then Argentina versus England at a very similar time to that with 7:40 when that one is happening. And then Australia taking on Fiji. That will be 3:30 p.m. tomorrow, and we are also doing that one on the channel too. 11 and a half minutes until we get to the kickoff, so I assume the two sides will be making their way into the tunnel very soon. Like I mentioned, a big opportunity here for these young Waratahs players that if there are injuries in that Wallaby squad, because of course they're playing up against Fiji tomorrow, you want to put your name in the hat. You want to say, yep, I'm ready, I'm fresh, just played up against them too. But Matt Phillip making his debut here. Most experienced lock returns to rugby after playing in Japan is what they've just put, as he is going to be with the Waratahs next season. And while Wales still finding new and innovative ways to lose a rugby match, well done. I actually thought they won that game. Like, in terms of earlier on, they were leading, I believe. No. I've just seen what the halftime, full-time score was. I knew the score at around halftime, where it was 19 points to 7. But in the last 20 minutes, they conceded 2 tries and a penalty to then go on to lose by 5. So they were up by 12 at halftime. And Thomas Williams got 2, so Wales have 3 so far. Our only crumb of comfort. Yeah, Thomas Williams, I'm so disappointed that he got injured. And I'm actually, I know that Daly gets a lot of stick, but he was honestly playing some really good rugby for the Lions too. So the fact that 2 of the best players in terms of form are both injured, it is a big shame. And it makes you wonder who's going to be the guy in this lineup that does go down. When you look through, I'd say Tyke Byrne. I don't want to jinx anything though, but he would probably be the guy that if you're looking at current form, he'd be the last guy that they want to lose. So I really hope I haven't jinxed that. And if I have, I will have to send him a message apologising. That's some serious skills, not going to lie. Says cited. It does take skill. And Wales, unfortunately, do have a lot of that skill at the moment. But not quite the skill that you want. Both of these sides getting changed into the kits. Not the easiest to get into once you've got a bit of a sweat up on. Does need a little bit of help, one of the props to be able to drag it down. That's the big man, Josh Bartlett. But they are doing Jack Barrett, I should say, rather than Josh Bartlett. Got around the wrong way. Yeah, it is welcome to country now. Allianz Stadium, an open roof one, and luckily the weather in New South Wales has got drastically better in the last little while. It was pretty rough a few days ago. Now it looks good to go for a game of rugby, but we will look through at the teams once again, ladies and gents, for the Waratahs. They have got Andrew Callaway and Darby Lancaster, plenty of speed out there on the 2 sides. Joey Walton alongside Lalakai Fekete in the middle of the field with Teddy Wilson and Jack Bowen as that 9 and 10 combination. Rob Leota, Hugh Sinclair and Charlie Gamble in the loose forward trio. Taniela Tupou slots in at 3. Tong and Thor up front, up against Pierce Schoolman. If you love scrums and you love the individual battles that you can have in said scrums, this is one to watch out for because those 2 will be a handful. In terms of the back line, though, I feel like it's a little bit underrated for this Waratahs team. They've had some rough games in Super Rugby Pacific. Of course, no Joseph Suali'i in this one, but having Callaway out on that wing, as well as Darby Lancaster for the pace, could be a very intriguing one. So, Tyke Byrne initially was going to be playing at number 4, but he moves to 6 due to Pollock's calf injury. Now, it's not serious enough to take him out of the lineup, but he will not be able to play in this game, which brings Scott Cummings into that number 4 jersey to partner with James Ryan for this matchup. Before the game, we saw Finn Russell juggling balls, which is very impressive. Blair Kinghorn, he will be out on the left wing side. Of course, Finn Russell actually not playing at all in this contest, but Mac Hansen there at number 14. Hugo Keenan returns from his sickness. He will be at number 15 for this game. Tui Piloto and Hugh Jones, a lot of power and the Scottish connection in the middle of the field. But yeah, no, Pollock will be interesting. And Tyke Byrne starting to really just have so many minutes across this British and Irish Lions tour. I do think he's going to be the juggernaut of the tour as long as he can avoid his injuries. Should be still there. It was hard to watch. They literally melted in the second half, says Fleshin. And why are all the old people called Uncle in Aussie land? Says Cited. I mean, to be fair, in New Zealand, it's a bit the same. You've got quite a few people call people Uncle. Going to be difficult sporting anyone but the Lions, says Robert. And good morning again from England. We think this could be another 50-pointer or it's going to be closer. I think it's a 50-pointer. But I do think that the Waratahs will be the first side to score up against the British and Irish Lions in the second half. But then once again, that doesn't, that sounds easy, right? Sounds easy on paper, just score a try on the second 40. But 2 sides have failed at that task at this very point in time. If Finn Russell is at his cheeky best, Tars don't stand a chance. But cheeky Finn Russell is not playing. Finn Smith is going to be there alongside Marcus Smith and Ben White off the bench. So we don't actually get to see Finn. He was just doing a few warm-ups just in case was going to be called in to this matchup. But do let me know your score predictions in the comments, ladies and gentlemen. I do think that it will be... It's not going to be that close, is it? But the thing is, I hope it is. And I would actually like it to be closer because that way, you know, the British and Irish Lions get that little bit more of a challenge. But yeah, I think the biggest thing for them will be avoid injuries. No way will they want anyone to go down here. So easy win for the Tars then, says Cited. Probably not, no. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a good side. You know, but we've just seen there are levels at the moment, and sadly none of the Australian sides have quite been able to keep up. The Reds, I thought, looked all right, but they didn't do it for 80 minutes. Team will win, says Nov Mum. What if it's a draw? Then who wins? The fans, probably. If it is that close. A very good evening, Ham from Brisbane. How are you, mate? I'm putting in the big hours for the TKL fans. Big ups to you, mate, says Foot Patrol. Yeah, thank you very much for tuning in. We have still got those live streams later on tonight. South Africa versus Italy. We've got a big build-up for that contest. I'm a Kiwi, but support the Tars because I've lived in Sydney for nearly half a century, says Honor. And come on the Lions, says Sean. And also going to be a very busy day for you today. I can't keep up, says Phoenix. I've realised how bad I am at YouTube, though. I had a pinned comment that said about becoming a channel member, but also had the Kiwi Lads Instagram. Ladies and gents, we had over 3,000 watching on that last live stream. I never mentioned it once. Throughout the week, I set up the Instagram. We haven't posted anything on it, but if you want to follow us, the pinned comment has it there. I thoroughly should have talked about it on the last stream, but completely forgot. So yeah, if you want to give us a follow on there, that is greatly appreciated. 15 degrees Celsius for this day at Allianz Stadium. 9 kilometres a wind, so not much to deal with in that department. I don't think we'll see too many three-pointers attempted throughout this game, though. I think it will be kicking for the twos. Will the Instagram include photos of the construction work? Probably not, no. Going to be a very busy day. And TMO for the win, says Sidon, and come on the line, says Sean, and I'm a Kiwi. But support the Tars because I lived in Sydney for nearly half a century. That's probably fair enough in that regard. Then you have a little bit of a soft spot for them. Yeah, Scott Cummings moves in. See, 4 out of the 8 in the 4-pack are from Ireland. We see 2 Scotsmen and 2 English across that forward pack. In terms of the backline, 3 Scottish players in Kinghorn, Tui Pilotu and Jones, 2 English, 2 Irish. So actually really evenly split across this lineup, which is quite cool to see. I wonder who Kiwi Roberts supporting in this game. Says Foot Patrol. And you're awesome, Hamish. It's a Mickey night in Sydney. And I, Hamish, enjoyed the All Blacks versus France test in Dunedin. An awesome sellout crowd. Hopefully won't be last test in Dunedin, says Shane. Yeah, I do think that the crowd seemed to really be getting into the game, which was great to see. I'd be disappointed if it was the last test. Like, I do think that once the Christchurch Stadium comes in, but then can it hold enough people, that Christchurch one? Look, Gowan Dickey just pounding the absolute daylights out of his calves, trying to warm them up. Of course, someone who will have a sore calf is Henry Pollock. He was taken out of this lineup later, which did bring Scott Cummings into the starting side and Tyburn transitioning into the 6th jersey. Taniela Tupou, Hugh Sinclair, the captain for this game. It is his last performance for the Waratahs. He said about the emotion, it will be creeping in now. I have respect for France team. Next week we should be better equipped to deal with this good French team. Says Lamatasi. Yeah, the All Blacks at times did look like they were deer in the headlights. But, you know, I think that, you know, for a game that was a lose-lose situation, this was probably like, it's not the greatest result for New Zealand, but like they were saying, if it was a loss, it would have been a lot worse. This young French side have shown that they're more than capable, so that's a bonus rather than just, you know, getting beaten easily. They stepped up, they played well, their defence was solid and incredibly impressive at times. AML Rugby, thank you very much, says Pillar. Who's the first try scorer? I'm going with Kinghorn on debut. Ooh, I'm going to go, you know what? Let's just throw a curveball in. Teddy Wilson, first try of the match. I'm not saying the Waratahs are going to win, but I'm going to say they'll sneak a try first up. We'll see how that goes. I watched this game, but the All Blacks game drained all my rugby juices, says Tanner. Didn't always sells out tests every year, says Shane. It was not comfortable to watch. AB's made a lot of silly errors. Should have been more clinical, says Cited. And I really liked our bench. Basilio Tossi and Ollie Norris have a lot of potential, says Tanner. Yeah, and with Tolkiaho in there too, that's just pure power off the bench for the front row. But yeah, Norris, he looked all right in the international jersey. Leo Willie, I thought, was one of the standout debutants alongside Fabian Holland. Duplessis Karefi, he didn't really get too much of a chance to get into his work, but he looks like he'll be handy enough when it comes to it. But the British and Irish Lions now making their way out of the tunnel, getting ready to go for this matchup. The Lion at the front, Hugo Keenan, looks ready for this contest. Hugh Sinclair just sitting there, not even breaking gaze with the field. I thought that maybe there would have been a moment between the two captains. I think maybe Ty Byrne just whispered good luck, but Hugh Sinclair's he hasn't blinked. Man's eyes are going to be watering in a short moment, and not just because it is his last game, but more so because he has forgotten how to use his eyelids. But that was just the face of someone who didn't want to chat, who didn't want to let anything get in the way of his focus. Would you keep Jordan at wing? Well, the thing is, with Sevu Reece out, there is a chance that Will Jordan will transition to the wing, and either Ruben Love or Damien McKenzie might find themselves in the number 15 jersey. Amoni Narawa, he was only in his injury cover, so I don't know how high up on his or on Razor's list he is. But Jordan's going to score tries no matter where you put him. I think he's proved that time and time again. Was that the first game together for the All Blacks this season? It was indeed, yes. And they did look rusty, let's be honest. There were quite a few players looking confused at times, but we'll wait and see how it goes. So far for the British and Irish Lions, 100 minutes played for Mac Hansen. Made his Super Rugby debut against the Waratahs in 2019. That was when he was playing for the Brumbies. Did they just say that he's got a tattoo of Owen Farrell on his body? I didn't know that about Matt Hansen. And how's it all on the channel? Personally, I hope the Aussie team can show up and beat this team. This box supporter rooting for them from Stellenbosch says Clinton, but Paul Williams from New Zealand will be in charge and picked an all-New Zealand refereeing panel for this matchup as this next match of the British and Irish Lions tour is here. And Finlay Bealham looking as focused as ever. They want to make another statement. There hasn't been a close game as of yet once they got into Australia, but it's kicked off by Finn Smith. And we are now underway. Nicely taken by Lawson Creighton just on the 22 of the Waratahs. Teddy Wilson onto the short side. For the Tars, they have to have learnt from what we've seen so far. So next time they should destroy this French side. No excuses, says Sighton. And yes, sir, says Lamatasi, kick downfield from Wilson. But yeah, they can't allow the Lions to get a good start. Of Andy Farrell rather than Owen. That makes a little bit more sense. I thought it was a bit weird to have a tattoo of a teammate. Michael Hooper, 125 Wallabies test for that man. He will not be playing in the upcoming series, though he's probably still in good enough shape to be able to step in if need be. He does. That's why he's never dropped when he's fit, says Fleshin. Now thrown in, nicely taken around the halfway line. Smith, short ball. Goes off to Van der Merwe. Oh, sorry, not Van der Merwe. Van der Flair. But now, back across to the right-hand side. Of course, Duan Van der Merwe going to be making his way off the bench. Liam Farrell is the next player in line. TSK for there now. Passed across. Smith finds Bealham. Around the halfway line at the moment here for the Lions. Mitchell finds Smith, who sells him the wrong way there. I think it was Ethan Dobbins. Bealham. So nice build at the moment here from the Lions. Nothing too crazy. Just going phase after phase. Knock on there from Hugo Keenan. Loose ball. Picked up by Teddy Wilson. Gives it off to Darby Lancaster, but the next pass doesn't link up. That was almost my Teddy Wilson try prediction. And 10 metres out from the line. The Lions have got the ball back. We have got there. Why aren't the ABs, or why say the ABs are rusty? As if the French aren't. Says Robert Wood. No one said that the French weren't, though. I was just saying earlier on, in fact, we said it multiple times throughout the build-up, that both of the sides, it would take a little bit of adjusting with their new players all linking up. We have, I think, having Pasilio Tosi and Ollie Norris as a prop combination means that you'll get a perfect mix of mobility, size, work rate, ball carry power, secure breakdown, and powerful scrums. Says down on Waratahs by 70. And there as well, Māori ABs were unlucky against Scotland. Yeah, very close in that matchup. Nicely taken. If they at least drop 3 Barretts, not straight. Call there from the ref. A little bit of a late call. 2 players went up, caught on the outside was the call. Good crowd, yep, sell out. Or I think it's supposed to be almost sold out anyway, over 40,000 for this match. And if they drop at least 3 Barretts from the All Blacks, we will come right. I actually think Jordie Barrett secured his spot. To be honest, don't get me wrong, Tupai off the bench did look dangerous, and I do think Jordie Barrett and Tupai will switch throughout the season. But Jordie was one of the better players in that backline, I felt, throughout the match. If you play, we might get 50 points over France, says Michael. Pack weights. There's 895 kgs here for the British and Irish Lions compared to the 881 of the Waratahs. Our ball going in. Big push early from the Waratahs, but both front rows stand up. We'll have ourselves another reset. I just need to practice your... The problem I have is I say it like it's a South African name, but it just isn't. I can just say Van der Flair, and it's probably much closer than when I say Van der Flair. And we have got there, yes, there's Robert and Geordie and Will Jordan were the 2 best players, says the Sporting Kiwi. And I think Bowden, D-Mac and Geordie, Jordan, Bowden, D-Mac and Geordie were really good, says Tanner too. And yes, says Robert. What was that yes to? Not sure. And France did play well. They did. They deserve a huge amount of credit, this young team that came over and showed why they were selected. Currently 4 minutes in, and this scrum now taking place, and the penalty goes the way of the Lions. Front row collapsing for the Waratahs. Taniela Tupou a bit disappointed with that one. Also forgot to mention Cam Roy. He was good as well. Just joined Herb Pollock not at 6. Yeah, injury to his calf. Nothing too serious, but Andy Farrell said that that'd be silly to try and play him in this one. So instead, Tyke Byrne goes from 4 to 6, and Scott Cummings goes from the bench to number 4. The 2 best players I agree with, hence yes. Yeah, but you didn't tag him or you didn't do anything like that, so it can get confusing. A bit of attitude today from yourself, Robert. Obviously in a bad mood, but now going off to Finn Smith now. Charlie Gamble trying to get involved in that one, trying to cause it to be a rolling ball, but is dragged down again. And we over there, thanks. Says B, and also AB's pack rumbled nicely when left to it. Says Jimbo, little kick him behind now. Sits up. Oh, did he run that one out? Darby Lancaster. And lol, sorry, says Robert Wood. Your pronunciation is a lot better than the Ireland and British commentators. They change voices mid-word and mid-sentence, says David the Mod. From David. Sorry, we have a mod called David, who's called David the Mod. So that's where the tongue wanted to say it. If Sevu's Head not rules them out next week, I hope they give Narawa a go. I hope so too, but they're more than likely going to go Jordan, aren't they? Just because, Narawa, once Anton Leonard-Brown's back, they're probably going to take Narawa out of the team. Sadly. Even though I think he deserves to be in there. Now inside of the 15 metres, Waratahs. You need to kick this one towards the sideline with Teddy Wilson. Nice spiral on it. Matt Hansen takes it round the halfway line. Going back across to the left. Open space there for Hugo Keenan. But that was shut down pretty quickly by Ethan Dobbins. Now Mitchell. Across there. Kinghorn. Short ball to Ipalatu. Look for the offload. Knocked on by Ben Earl. Looked like he had actually tripped. Yeah, he said I tripped over. So they will go back now for the scrum. As Rono Gara on commentary again. Hope he does the Lions versus Australian games. Great insight into the sport, says Colm. The commentary we've got at the moment is just the Australians, I believe. But yeah, hopefully we do get to see him for the upcoming matches. There's Owen Farrell. Oh, okay. Started with the cheer. Then the Aussies realised and they started booing. Will Stewart behind him is booing him as well, his English teammate. He's turned bright red, Owen Farrell. He knows that he's possibly not the most popular man at the moment. Does have to step up and really do well in the matches. Not a fan of across the ditch. Go the Tars. And France B team was better of the night, says Michael. And the box going to smash the ABs, mate. The fear of the ABs is gone. Barely beating a French B team after France won the last 3 tests against the ABs, says Safa. Well, that's the thing. It is intriguing, isn't it? But until the match happens, that's the thing. I have heard so many people already say that the All Blacks are going to win up against South Africa at Eden Park, or that South Africa is going to win up against the All Blacks at Eden Park, but there's just no way to know. Rugby at the moment is so unpredictable and so competitive at the top level that honestly you could play a game 10 times over and you could get 10 different results. And that's the best thing about it. It's whoever plays better on the day gets the victory. And the Waratahs, they want to try and prove that here, not beating the British and Irish Lions for over 70 or over 60 years. Some brutal rainfall this week there. Pitch looks heavy. And yeah, it's probably lucky that it isn't raining for this game because there has been some pretty poor weather around. I know that Fiji-Australia game, it actually seems like the weather's going to be okay for that one. Thank you very much, Cal Mac. Greatly appreciated there. Now backline movement coming for the Waratahs around the halfway line, shut down early by the defence of Sione Tuipalotu. Losing a few metres in the process for the Waratahs. Rush defence from Luke Cowan. Dickey gets an ankle. The Box don't lose. They just occasionally come second. Says Robert. I guess that's one way of putting it, isn't it? But ambitious. Nah, it's the first AB's game together. Still a few games to go before we can judge where they really are. So excited. And that's the thing. Even when we think you know what their form's like, one game can completely change that. You're covering South Africa versus Italy? We certainly will be. We've got an hour of build-up for that one. Ben Earl, big run down the wing. But it's dropped hard. He's actually dropped on his head, like as in just face plant. So hopefully he's going to be all right. The last thing that the Lions want is any more injuries. I'm going to say I can predict the winner of the Box versus Italy game. Says Fleshin. Big shot coming in from Fergus Lee Warner. Now short ball. Taniela Tupou almost got the interception. It will just be a knock-on. They said it's a genuine attempt, although it was a little bit outstretched from Daniela Tupou. Bot fan super annoying. Holy smokes, I'm ashamed. Says 9HD. And my sleep is so screwed up, says Nov Mum. Yeah, weekends throughout July are not going to be normal for us here. And well, in fact, they're not going to be normal for anyone around the world, I wouldn't think, with the times that some games has taken place. We're in South Africa, Italy, New Zealand time, starting at 3:10 a.m., but we will be starting at 2 a.m. for that contest. So a nice big build-up for that matchup, Argentina versus England, yet to be determined. It's one of those games that is late enough after South Africa, Italy, that I can just schedule it then if I end up doing it. If not, then, yeah. I agree with David Oliver. It'll be embarrassing if the Lions don't smash the Waratahs, says George. And ABs will be better if it, for it, a bit rusty. The French players disrupt his footy. No surprises there. That's another penalty now going the way of the Lions. Seems like scrums at the moment are proving difficult. This time it was actually loosehead Thomas Lambert who's penalised. And spent most of it at the hospital yesterday. See my dad who had a brain bleed. So hopefully he's going to be all right, Nov Mum. And with the most recent defeat that Wales has suffered, 18 on the trot, could a conversion be had of them being relegated from the Six Nations? Or sorry, a conversation rather than a conversion. They drop further in the rankings. They're 14th now. Maybe, but I don't see them leaving it because they also have voting rights in the Six Nations. So, they still hold a bit of weight in that competition. We have got there, if you can't predict the outcome of Box and Italy game, then you should take it easy with your fentanyl habit. Says Robert. Now backline movement through. He goes Hugh Jones and he goes through the last line of defence. And the first try of the match for the Lions off the set piece. Just like that, Lions have struck. They haven't had a huge amount of attack throughout this first 10 minutes or so, but as soon as they see some sort of window to be able to score, they do just that. It was the line out from Luke Cowan Dickey, claimed by James Ryan. Decent rolling maul defence from the Waratahs. They were forcing it sideways, so they did have to use it there, the Lions. And then Tuipalotu just shoveling the ball on short to his teammate in Hugh Jones. Should be 35-0 right now. So here's Mr. All in. That kick from Ben Smith has gone over, now making the score 7-0 in favour of the Lions. TMO determines who wins. See it in New Zealand versus France. Denied New Zealand 4 tries, although that didn't determine who won, though, because New Zealand still did. But, yeah, there were some interesting calls in that game that I think has certainly opened the eyes of a lot of people in terms of the fact that now we've got a foul play official and a TMO it does mean that with those 2 men available for that New Zealand-France tour, I'm not sure if it's just New Zealand-France or it's going to be all internationals, but if that's the case, there'll be a lot that is looked at that's going to be dropped there, but the penalty goes in favour of the Waratahs. Hugh Jones is really showing up for Wales the last few games, says Glenn Daly. Obstruction against Mac Hansen. Hugh Jones pronounced Hugh once, says Jay. The problem with Wales, though, is they have a massive debt. One of the regions is being got rid of. That's making it harder for players to get a look in, says David. Although their under-20s aren't terrible at the moment, the Welsh. I know that they did lose their game up against the French in the most recent under-20 championship. Oh, big run from Taniela Tupou on the short side, 5 metres out from the try line now. Teddy Wilson goes across. Now Lambert getting that little bit closer. This is where the Waratahs have to strike. They can't allow a 2-try deficit this early on in the game. Big shot on Hugh Sinclair. Pick and go. Round the side from Lambert. Again, well defended by Josh Vandenflair. Now, 4 metres out from the line. That looked like an illegal clean out on Mac Hansen. And the steal and the breakdown from the Lions getting the ball clear. Will again be a line out for the Waratahs. Up the tar, says Gus. And also Hugh Jones easily breached that defence, says David Oliver. And the team that I hate is South Africa, who will win South Africa or New Zealand. The team that I hate is South Africa. Hate's a strong word, Edge. Possession 61% at the moment for the British and Irish Lions. Can we just concentrate on this game, please, and not Wales, says Fleshen. Wales should verse Māori All Blacks. They might have a chance, says Beekeeper, although it wouldn't count as an official game, would. Oh, Ben Earl goes straight through for the Lions again. Bust through Lawson Creighton, but didn't look for the pass. Instead looked for the glory. Dewey Pilotu passes one more. Kinghorn finds Keenan skipping near the wing. Mitchell currently on the halfway line. Very flat pass from Finn Smith. You know that it's flat when he looks at the ref just to make sure he hasn't called it as forward. Now this will be an aerial challenge. Well done from the Waratahs. Tyke Byrne chasing after it. Couldn't quite get there. Is this first game Lions has scored first in 4 years? Did they score first up against the Force? I know that no one has scored in the second half up against the British and Irish Lions for this Australia tour. Oh, no, not back. Matt Hansen takes that one. I think he was in front. But it is going to be play on. Crowd not happy. Big shot from Finn Smith, Lawson Creighton. Around 40 metres out from the line. If you are a true fan of rugby, you don't hate any teams, you appreciate the quality of your opponent. Says it was cited. Now Wilson, short ball from Fergus. Lee Warner finds Gamble. Wanted the offload. It was a bit of a miracle one, and there's a knock on. Which does bring another scrum, which does not bode well for the Waratahs, as they have conceded a few scrum penalties already. 4 scored first, says Jimbo. And I was at the AB's game, hard watch, says Highlanders fan. And we have no chance against the Māori All Blacks. There's SD. And Stanley Hamish, where the French second string is that good. It's true. What they say, South Africa and France has the most depth, says Mono Lagrange. Wait, so there's a question mark in there somewhere, isn't it? It's after that good. And then you've kind of said the answer to your own question. And free for this game, what channel? Says David. I saw where it was available, but most of them were paid subscriptions. Sky in the UK. But now 17 minutes in. What will be a game that I think flies by in this case. Definitely if we see 1 or 2 more tries being scored, it's a big push. Who got man of the match of the AB's game? I actually don't know, to be honest. Like, Savia had a big performance. Will Jordan, I would say, was the safe bet for man of the match. Tui Pilotu. Oh, no, miscommunication there between Jones and Smith. They'll go back for another penalty. Are you going to cover England versus Argentina? To be determined. I haven't quite decided yet. I am going to schedule it after South Africa versus Italy, though, if we do end up doing it. The Welsh under-20s are doing well. But there are so many cracks in the Welsh Rugby Union. It's a losing battle, in my opinion, says David. And also we have good there. I'm watching on Sky Sports here. Shane and Mornay, France. And Box have 60 squad players, most by far. Says Jimbo. Yeah, that advantage at scrum time could really favour the Lions as this match goes on. I don't watch Aussie Rugby or Super Rugby. Do the Aussie teams play well? They go all right. The Brumbies finished the highest out of any Australian side. Then it was the Reds, then it was the Waratahs, and then the Force. What's he taken? Now 10 metres out from the line, and again, looks like the Waratahs are holding strong when it comes to the rolling maul, making it go sideways, although now it starts to creep that little bit closer. Trying to go through the middle was a Matosero, and there's an advantage. Now this could be danger for the Waratahs. Now Mitchell, quick hands from Tui Palotu, little grubber, attempt from Spin Smith. They'll go back again for another penalty. And we're at that stage now. Okay, Matosero disagrees with Paul Williams. Paul Williams said that he was changing his bind because originally his back was towards the referee, then managed to spin around. So the way the commentator said that, though, he said he was swimming through the maul, which would mean that it was legal, but he did go around the side. Matosero still saying, no, I didn't. I don't know whether or not the one person out there on the field that you want to argue with is the referee, is you don't often win. So tell me, Hamish, were you impressed by France second stringers? I was. I thought that they played a really solid game of rugby. I thought their kicking overall was really strong. And, you know, they certainly gave the All Blacks a bit of a fright. Oh, breaking off the back, Luke Cowan-Dickie. Can't quite get through. But now pop pass. Quick hands from the Lions. 2 metres out from the try line. Alex Mitchell goes back across. Thought about reaching out for Pierre Skurman. Charlie Gamble trying to get in the breakdown. Now back across. Mitchell. Skip past this time. Fine spin. Smith. Short ball to Tui Palotu. Couldn't get his offload away as he was worried. Lawson Creighton was going to steal it from him. Drop ball from Ryan. Goes backwards. Then forwards off Cowan-Dickie. And we'll get ourselves yet again another scrum. We're getting Scrum Simulator at the moment in this matchup. They ran a bit too much though. The game needed a bit more tactical kicking, says Cited. And also I've always wondered about Super Rugby. How are the teams split? As in how many from Oz, New Zealand and South Africa respectively. So at the moment it's Super Rugby Pacific, which involves 5 New Zealand sides, 1 from kind of made up of Pacific Island players from Tonga, Samoa, Cook Islands, etc. That is Moana Pacifica. There's a Fijian team called the Fijian Drua, and then there are 4 Australian sides. There used to be 5, but the Rebels are no longer a team. So there's 12 teams in total, or used to be. Now there is 11. Great defence start, says Jimbo. Under 20 game between South Africa and England was a good one, eh? It was very close between those two sides. England leading early and then South Africa firing back using some pure pace. And I've never heard France could win and that makes rugby my evil, says Beekeeper. And also, Xander, it was a cracking game, says Zimbo. Or sorry, says Jimbo rather than Zimbo. That's a new nickname, isn't it? And hi, Hamish and all. Mr. Starty, how's the task gone? Scrums are struggling at the moment for them, and they have got a scrum feed 10 metres out from their own line. So if there was ever going to be one that they have to get right, it is this one right here. But, you know, they've had some moments throughout this first kind of period of the game. I would say that the Lions still do look like the stronger team, though, which they should. Hanging after a wedding. I appreciate the update, says Charlie. Well, hopefully the wedding went well. I don't know whether or not it was yours or someone else's, but yeah, hopefully it all went smoothly. Which country are you from, Charlie? Out of curiosity. Because I would assume that if the person who was getting married was like an avid rugby supporter, they wouldn't want to get married on a day that the British and Irish Lions are playing, you see. And what day do Lions play the Brumbies? It will be Wednesday next week, which sucks because it overlaps with State of Origin. Ireland, heavy night on the sauce, says Charlie. Heavy night on the... Because it's around lunchtime at the moment, isn't it? For yourself. So yeah, hopefully you've had a good evening. And ball going to be fed in by Teddy Wilson back across to the right-hand side. Lawson Creighton in behind. Nice looping around play from Wilson. And they only make it up to their 22-metre line. And also, Leo Willie, unlucky to be subbed. I thought so. I thought he actually played extremely well. But then, sadly, that was just what had to happen because of who they had available. And I just didn't see them taking Savia off in such a close game. Now, Bowen didn't quite connect that smoothly with that one. 20 metres out from the line, and once again, it is going to be the Lions line out. Our state of origin for me is Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday, same day as the Brumbies taking on the British and Irish Lions. Do you think France can surprise New Zealand in the second test? I think that this first test was their big chance, if we're being honest. Like, who knows, maybe they can a little bit, and maybe, I wouldn't say I'm taking them lightly, but I do think now that New Zealand have had one game, they know what to expect. But the unpredictability factor, I think, is now gone, if that makes sense. So, yeah, it will be intriguing. See what happens. And damn, got to choose between Lions and State of O. Decider. Who planned that? Yeah, terrible planning. Because the thing is, the week after, on the Tuesday, not next week, but the week after, they have a game for the British and Irish Lions tour. So I don't understand why they couldn't do the game midweek this next coming week on Tuesday as well. Hopefully it's not his wedding. He shouldn't be watching rugby on his wedding night. He would have other duties. C.S. Fleesham. Ioane needs to step up next week below ordinary today. Yeah, I think he was just adjusting to the wing, and he did have a bit of a shaky game. Looked very hesitant. But now Tui Pilotu, runs straight at Hugh Sinclair once more. Already some massive hits coming in throughout this matchup. Tyke Byrne playing 6 for this match due to the late change. Henry Pollock out with the calf injury, but nothing too serious at this point in time, just from this match. Is that at the same time, Origin and Lions? Yep. So State of Origin starts at 10:05. British and Irish Lions versus Brumbies starts at 10. So not ideal. I'm not very familiar with the Australian club rugby side, so which club side will give the Lions the toughest test before they play the Wallabies? I would say out of the Aussie sides, well, if they were full strength, the Brumbies, but they won't have all their players due to certain players being in that test environment. So I would say probably the Brumbies. But then I also think that invitational New Zealand and Australia XV could actually be the strongest test for the Lions heading into it. I do see that they've got some stacked players making their way into that team. Now Finn Smith goes off to Luke Cowan. Dickey, 2-man tackle on him by Fergus Lee Warner and Wilson. How will Italy go against South Africa? Probably not that well. I know that a lot of people have talked about France having so many changes due to players in the top 14, but Italy are the same. They're missing about 10 of their main guys. But yeah, when Italy have to miss them, apparently it's fine, but when France do it, people say it's disrespectful. So I don't know how that works. I agree first test is usually the best chance to beat the All Blacks when they're a bit cold, says Jay. Tell me, Hamish, what are your predictions for the Australia Lions test series? I want to see it be 2-1. I would hate to see 3-0. I think that for the sake of Australian rugby and for the sake of this Lions side, both want at least one victory under the belt, and will lead to much better viewing as well for that third match if it's 1-1 going into it. Big hits by the Tars and a nice bit of work in the breakdown from Charlie Gamble to be able to win the penalty for his team. And the Tars, they will be about 20 metres out from this British and Irish Lions line. This might be the closest that they've been to the try line in the last maybe 15 or so minutes. The RL probably did that clash deliberately to try and embarrass the ARU viewing figures-wise in Australia. Says Fleshin. And now ball's there. Waratahs 10 metres out from the line. Back across Bowen. Finds, I think it was Amato Cero. Fergus Lee Warner. Just some big shots coming in. Ty Byrne trying to turn it into a rolling maul. Told to get out of it though. Now back across. What's Rob Leota done with himself? He's gone bleached blonde and chopped off his mullet by the looks of it. I didn't even recognise the bloke. The Lions looking strong, says Shane. They have still got the penalty advantage here for the Waratahs, and I think that attack is a bit stagnant, so they will go back for the original penalty. And Poopins versus England going to be England's second string as best players with the Lions, says David. And also Argentina missing a few of their big players due to top 14 commitments. With only 2 Welsh players gone off with the Lions, or going off with the Lions. What do you make of their performance against Japan? Are they even close or classed as Tier 1 nation anymore? Yeah, although only one guy in the Lions now because of Thomas Williams having his injury. But yeah, it's a struggling time for Wales at the moment. Like, you'd have to say their last kind of 24 months-ish have been a bit of a nightmare. You've got to remember, though, they still made it to the quarterfinal of the Rugby World Cup. That was probably their last big moment that seemed like it was, going in the right direction. But yeah, I think that they're having the run that a lot of national teams are afraid that one day they will have, but luckily they haven't. Whereas Wales are living it at the moment and having to deal with it firsthand, and it is pretty brutal. Waratahs back off to the left. Oh, Matasero. You can see how much the big man wanted to stretch out the arm for that one. Gamble now. 1 metre short again. Tongan thought. Daniela Tupou, 1 metre. In fact, maybe even less than that from the line. Great defence from the Lions, although someone jumped up a little bit too early, so the advantage now, and they'll go back for another penalty against the Lions. You made the quarterfinals, but not the trickiest pool. Well, ask Australia how their quarterfinal went in the Rugby World Cup. Sadly, they did not make it. So, in that regard for Wales, it's still, you'd consider a bit of an accomplishment. And average with the Australian New Zealand invitational team, is there a minimum of players to play from each nation? Or can it be 14 New Zealand players and 1 Aussie player? I think they're going to try and mix and match a little bit. Try not quite. In that scenario, Daniela Tupou just short. But once again, the tap and go from the Waratahs. It's a tactic we've seen all the Australian sides use. Sinclair, 2 metres out. Luke Cowan-Dickie has to try and roll away and has done just that now. Dobbins, held up by Pierre Skurman, who tries to turn him right around. Gamble, almost a handling advantage, though. Offside again. This is getting close to yellow card territory. I think it's going to be the last warning now for the Lions. And going all right here, says Gus. And I was impressed with South Africa under 20 side beating the defending champions. Were you impressed? I was impressed with the way that they came back in that game. I also do think, though, if England make it through to the the semi-final, that rivalry is not done yet. Yeah, offside this time going against James Ryan. Yellow time, says Jimbo. How good was it seeing Karefi's passion after that scrum penalty and the whistle? Great to see, says Hebrew. Yeah, I just hope he gets more minutes throughout the season because he was an absolute turnover machine throughout Super Rugby Pacific. And sadly, in this loose forward trio at the moment, they just don't seem to have a spot for him advantage. There was another one, but the penalty did go the way of the Waratahs. Now line out from about 5 metres out, but the last warning here for the Lions. Any time that they give away a penalty now close to the line, there is a chance that Paul Williams will reach for his pocket, put someone in the bin. Amato Cero claiming the line out once more. Here come the Waratahs. 30 minutes through. Charlie Gamble. Did he get it down? They say yes. Oh, a little bit of extra push and shove. Not really needed from the Waratahs. But the try is scored by Charlie Gamble. I think that scrap all started. Yep. It looks like they are having a bit of biff back and forward. And it started because Thomas Lambert, a man who never really gets any minutes for his side, decided he was a superstar. We have got their game on, says Robert. We're going to see the replay here. The rolling maul. Charlie Gamble just breaks away. Tyke Byrne trying to get it. Oh no, in fact it was Ethan Dobbins, a man who gets even less minutes than Lambert. And Nice says Mr. All-In, it'll take a generation for longer for Wales to be back and competitive. Says Johnny, I'm just curious who was the referee for this game. It is Paul Williams in charge of this one, but some physicality shown there from Charlie Gamble, and they just couldn't quite stop him from getting that ball down. And also great stuff, Tars. Am I actually cheering for the Tars? Oh, hang on. Time's off. Who's done what here? Someone's done something they shouldn't have. They're checking for potential obstruction. Don't you just love how involved the TMOs have been throughout this weekend so far? And a bit of biffo up the Tars. Yeah, they showed some of the old school fights between these two sides, and they were a lot worse than that. And well played, Tars. Fair play. Right, so we're going to see... they're going to say Fergus Lee Warner's in front of him in the rolling maul, which is correct. Like, it is a part of the laws, and it's one of those ones that, you can debate all day, but they're going to call it no try. Stupid TMO, says Jimbo and TMO, and check. And also Bo TMO to the rescue to the north again, says Lamatasi. And yeah, I feel for Wales. Each game feels like a new rock bottom, says Hans. So there's no try. There is obstruction for Blue. So that's Burgess Lee Warner. He was in front of the man who landed from the rolling maul. See, the thing is, for that one, like, don't get me wrong, it is in the law book as something illegal. I don't think the players, in most cases, actually know that rule. Because the amount of times that we see that happen, and sometimes it's not penalised, and then other times where we see it happen, and it is penalised, I honestly don't think locks in that moment think about that type of penalty for obstruction. I think they just join the line out and maul. They wouldn't call it if the Lions were doing it, says Lamatasi. Although the TMOs we have seen have been very involved in the last little while, so maybe they would have. TMOs are a bit pedantic, says Gus. Yeah, it's like I said, it's the right decision. But I do think at the moment, every single try, you could probably find something that is disallowing it. Now, nice claim for the Lions. The jumper jumps back. Locks didn't surge forward. Bad call, says Jimbo. Was the Scottish A-team? Was that a Scottish A-team that beat the Māori All Blacks? It was not, no. It was Scotland minus the British and Irish Lions guys sitting at dock in the Greek islands. Well, hopefully it is a beautiful morning for you. I think it is morning in Greece, isn't it? Or around lunchtime, actually, it might be. Now, Hugh Sinclair looking short side. Quick hands from Callaway. Amato Cero. Now up to the halfway line. And also we have got the obstruction is obstruction end of. The players know the rules at the elite level. Says Kernovec, and TMO should only get involved when the on-field ref calls on to them to check, nothing more. And true that though, says Mr. All, and that's gone through the legs. And now it's going to be going backwards. Ball there again. Told to use it for Teddy Wilson. Oh, that ball's dropped. That looked like maybe Lions player dropped as well. Is Cummings all right? He looks like it, but for a little bit there, he looked like he was slightly rattled. And also, I'm delighted with who. Play the whistle and TMO is TMO. Says David there. And you're my saviour, says Stephen. And we are going to be covering all the games of the British and Irish Lions on the channel. Update your scoreboard to 0-7, says David. It is an online one, so hopefully it will update itself in the near future. Another penalty does go the way of the British and Irish Lions. Number 4 in an offside position here for Fergus Lee Warner. That one has gone into touch. Possession at the moment, 56% for the British and Irish Lions. They have had 43 carries at this point of the match. Tackle completion of 86%. A Scotland try today came from a clear forward pass, and there was 0 check. Why not? Couldn't tell you. Could have been because it wasn't the international one. Did the Lions just do exactly what the Waratahs did down the other end for their disallowed try in terms of having a man in front of the jumper? Now, they didn't go for the maul, so that's probably why it wasn't going to be looked at. But I think it's just sometimes how a player lands in a line out. Hugh Jones almost over, reaches out, and he has landed on the line, puts it down, and his second try of the match now. Right, no knock on from the 9 for the earlier one is the one that I've just heard over the TMO, so they might be checking this one too. Oh no, they're going upstairs. Going for another look. And because the North always cheats to win, says Lamatasi, you've got to detach from the back, says Mr. All-In. Right, so this one's being checked for an Alex Mitchell knock on now. As there ever an AB steps, Will Jordan doesn't score a try. Not very often. He often does. Wasn't an injury sub for Scott Barrett. Yeah, injured. I thought they said Achilles or something in his leg. Right, what are we looking at here? Or are they checking the grounding? It says it's being checked on the TMO. Right, try is good. And that kick has gone over now. 14 points, nil, different game, different place, different refs and TMO fella. Says Kernovec. Yeah, I do think that this I don't think is too wrong to say, though, but the games that aren't international test matches sometimes you'd say aren't as, like, strict on checking things. It's a little bit similar to what we see for Super Rugby in the URC at times, how it just kind of gets to flow a little bit more. And yeah, it also just depends on the technology they've got available at the stadium for the game. Alex Mitchell, that one rolled forward, but it's going to be a loose ball. Luke Cowan-Dickey has to jump on it here for the Lions, who are up 14-0 now. Different laws, yeah, I get it. Says Studs Race, and different rules for different teams. Ref keep making stuff up, says Cubby. And TMO is making more decisions than the ref, says Frankie. Now, rolling this one back, Alex Mitchell does go nice. At least does get distance, I should say. I thought that one was going straight out, but it's actually gone down the middle of the field. So now the Waratahs, another attacking chance. Teddy Wilson looking off to the left here. We're already 30 minutes in, and the scoreboard has been broken. In terms of there is no scoreboard on the screen. Taniela Tupou short side. Nice hands. Rob Leota goes out to Lancaster. Thought about going on the inside. Crawls over and scores the try for the Waratahs. Is that one okay? I assume so. No one held him, so he is allowed to continue moving. Now, he had to crawl a little bit to get to the line, but once again, no contact with other players. How many players or how many people will Christchurch Stadium hold? I can't remember. I think it's like 25, 30,000 or something along those lines, but they are just having a look at this derby. Lancaster tackled low by Hugo Keenan. He got out. Are they checking this for crawling, did I just hear from Paul Williams? Say whether or not he got back up to his feet or not here. TMO checking this one for crawling, ladies and gents. Hang on, Hamish, was it a try? Probably not. I think they're going to check this again. Make sure that it is all right. 2 movements, says David Oliver. TMO involved again, says Cubby. Surely he wasn't held in the tackle. He wasn't. So the thing that's the technicality, I believe, is if he hasn't got back up to his feet after being held, then it's no try. But if he's not held, I think that changes it. But the TMO, they are checking this one again. And that's a try, FFS, says Jimbo then. And also, I think they want to check if it's the 15 for the Lions. Oh. Wait, checking, no, they're not checking for crawling. They're checking for foul play way back. What are we looking for here? Oh, it's for Fergus Lee Warner in the breakdown hitting Mac Hansen out of the breakdown. I think, does he make... He makes some contact with him. Is this going to be enough to overrule it? We have got there. Yes, if you are down, you have to get up. You cannot crawl, says Akaris. Right, they are checking this one. This one's going to be ruled out for the breakdown beforehand, ladies and gentlemen. And Bloody Shimo is going for the man of the match, says Jack. Come on, that's so soft, says Sakili. Oh, hang on. No foul play. Most of that contact was going through the body, says Paul Williams. Both players are low, so it is a clean out. Right, Morgan Turanui has just said in the commentary, don't talk each other into this, boys. Call the try and move on. They don't believe it's foul play. They've signed off the try, and it will be the try for Darby Lancaster, who did not look confident at any point throughout that try, I guess, looking at it for the TMO. And also the sport is getting painful to watch these studs race. And TMO and ref unsure what to do, says Jan. And the try stands decided it does, yes. So it will be the try to the Waratahs. The kick is unsuccessful, misses away to the side, making the score now 14 points to 5 between these two teams. And correct decision, says Sakili. And great clean out, says Mr. Allin. Yeah, it was an unfortunate collision because Matt Hansen slipped and was very low to the ground. So I think they just gave the benefit of the doubt that had he not fallen down more, then Fergus Lee Warner would have probably got him a little bit less, like, uglily. Is that a word? Less ugly is probably the better way of saying it, isn't it? TMO is not making rugby enjoyable to watch, and TMO is ruining rugby. Says Kiwi, and get the TMO some oranges, hard out. Says Gus. And I agree that TMO has its time and its place, but don't stop the flow of the game, says Mike Preston. And TMO calls it so inconsistent, I swear, says Opal. Yeah, we will move on. And good try, Tars, good for yous, says Kurnovic. And that is unusual. That does look like, or does not look like the correct decision to me at all. I think it comes down to Hugo Keenan they said that Hugo Keenan hadn't completed the tackle. So in that regard, it sounds weird to say, but I think he is still allowed to kind of, like, if he was tackled, he has to put it down and get back up. But I think they've ruled it as he's kind of gone on his knee and then outstretched. It's a bit of an interesting one, but Hugo Keenan now, turnover in the breakdown from Charlie Gamble for the Waratahs, and it seems like the crowd now fully starting to get behind their side. I like the referee. I'll let the referee, and if he misses stuff, so be it, says Jack. Well, if he misses anything, the TMO's got his back at this point in time. And now going high, Darby Lancaster retaining the ball for the Tars. Kick downfield from Lawson Creighton, looking for the 50-22. Won't quite go out. Aimed at the back for Blair Kinghorn. I've said that man's name once early on. Ugly Lee is my new favourite word, says Sarah there. Wait, is it Sarah or is it Zara? Because I've seen someone spell Zara like that. But Zara sounds like it's a Z, doesn't it? Or is it Sarah? It's probably just Sarah, isn't it? And I'm just making it more difficult. Can anyone else remember when you could clean out a player any way you like? Could shoo people out of the back of the ruck with your studs, says Mike. And time at the moment, we are 39 minutes through. Kick downfield. Taken at the back for the British and Irish Lions. Hugo Keenan returning fire. That's a big kick. That might be a little bit too much on that one. It's gone into the in-goal area. Darby Lancaster, he's going to run it out and kick it into touch off the side of his boot. It was an ugly-looking kick, but it's actually gone down to 22. Let them play rugby, says Stephen. The TMO is ruining rugby as I can't watch this stuff. I watch rugby for the sport, not the refereeing, says Distractor Sports. I'm Sarah. I just spell it like S-A-R-A just to be awkward. So do you spell it S-A-R-A, but it actually has an H? Or is it that you like that's on your birth certificate, that it's S-A-R-A? I'll try my best to remember it though. Now line out. Well claimed by James Ryan. Competitive one between him and Fergus Lee Warner. Skip past the air, short ball from Hugh Jones. Finds Hugo Keenan. Now Mitchell, a little bit of a slip there from Finn Smith. Different Finn. Now inside ball. Lions, I'd love to score before this halftime break as the halftime siren just now sounds. Paul Williams almost had to make that tackle. Kinghorn cuts back in, tackled by Callaway. And Creighton finds his offload. Mitchell now, Earl, tries a little bit of a stutter step. It was almost a knock on there from Mitchell in the breakdown. Taniela Tupou tries to hold him up, but his knee's down, so he has to release him, which he never did. Now, Van der Fleer, back across 5 metres out from the line, Pierre Skurman. Matasero not allowed to do what he just tried to Tuipulotu. Another low tackle. And they get through here. The line skip pass goes to Skurman, one of the offload. Take on 12. Tavatavanoa at 13. Geordie Barrett says Hebrew now. Pass on the outside. Mac Hansen. No. Hasn't found touch yet. Luke Cowan Dickey with the diving football goalie-like save. And now the Waratahs. That ball's not coming out. Who's got that? It's in the middle of the breakdown. I don't see how anyone's going to get that ball. In fact, the Waratahs have been told it's theirs to play with. Kicking it out from Joey Walton. And that will be halftime. 14 points to 5. Hamish, you think All Blacks, where'd that go? You think All Blacks won or lost according to their standard? Well, they won the game. So, whether it's their standard or not, the win is the win, isn't it? And also, We have there back in the dark ages when I played, I'd have to release the ball and then get back to the feet. But that hasn't reffed or been reffed that way for 20 years. I know that in sevens it's refereed that way. And let them play rugby. It's pronounced Sarah, not Sarah. Or Sarah, not Sarah. Might be there. And how well is Kinghorn playing? Honestly, I've seen him twice throughout the half. Birth certificate is Sarah. It's pronounced as Sarah, though. Blame Bob Dylan. I was named after his song with Sarah spelling with Sarah pronunciation. It is the most anyone has ever commented Sarah in a single comment, I believe. So well done. And 2 Timo ruining the game. A good game, says Mr. Holland. First half flew by, didn't it? This game is one to miss. It's more like a bloody soap opera, says Jack. And great to see the news that Japan beat Wales. Yeah, massive win for the Japanese. And a win that comes at a good time for them because they have had a couple rough patches, but Eddie Jones seems to be getting them back on the right track. Waratahs is going good, and they have a seaside, says Lamatasi. Seaside. It almost looks like the seaside in behind me. And Gotars loving this from Greece, says Stephen. And it's pronounced Sahara. Well, that's a bit fancy, isn't it? Like the desert. There's plenty of pickup lines and all sorts you can use. So that Waratahs try shouldn't have stood. He crawled along the floor, says Scott. Yeah, I think they ruled him as not tackle, but it is one of those ones that's still a bit of a grey area, isn't it? What's up, players? Says Tony. Did it there at least kind of sound cool when I said it? It probably sounds much cooler when you say it, Tony. Sarah, that's a great song and a brilliant album. I saw Bob Dylan here in New Zealand, says John. I heard Faz is in the squad. When will he play? It's a good question. He was shown on the screen. The crowd booed, but then some people cheered. Will Stewart, his teammate, also booed him, so that was nice. But yeah, a little bit of a tricky one to know when they'll use Owen Farrell. The bomb squad to come, says James, and sounded way cooler when you said it, Sweet Pea. Not sure if that nickname will stick, to be honest, Tony. Maybe if you were my nana. We have got their Wales might need the 2 back, says Mr. Orlin. And France played well under the roof. They did. They thoroughly impressed me. The young team, all good border. Nice, easy day for a change. Good to catch up with Hamish and the usual good crew. I hope that you and your Telu are all healthy and happy as can be, says Kurnovic. Christchurch copied Dunedin with a covered stadium. Fun fact, Dunedin's not the only stadium in the world that has a roof. Would you prefer Schnookums? I don't even know how to spell that word till now. Schnookums, I don't know if it's got more of a ring to it than Sweet Pea, but maybe. But once again, maybe not. The Lions need to be alert, crawling Australians, says Robert Wood. I don't understand why Owen Farrell is so hated, says Samuel. He's had a few moments throughout his career. I think it's his tackling style that a lot of people were not a fan of. But, off the field, he seems kind of all right. He seems like a relatively sound fellow. But people don't like his face for some reason. How about bum tickle? No, I don't think that one will catch on. Or at least I hope it doesn't. Hamish, you think All Blacks have depth, says Fareed. The thing is, no matter how I answer that, you're going to turn it into, you just want to talk about the Springboks depth. I know you do, because every second comment you have is about South Africa. So I'll say, yes, they've got a little bit. So I will cue the comment of, but they don't have as much as South Africa. I dislike Faz because he runs up to the ref and stands over them like a soccer player. Other than that, bloody good player, says Studs Race. Schnookums, says Gus. And Waratah, Sarah. I love it. Sahara, that's a new one, says Sarah there. A listing from Sestru. Oh, that's a name. Sestrieri? I don't know how to say that, Brian. Italian Alps, though. Hopefully it is nice weather there. Is it Sestri? No, I'm just going to hide it. Not like hide you, but just hide it off the screen, because that one's not rolling off the tongue. I don't know where to put my tongue in that situation. That's what I say on a first date. Farrell is generally a nice bloke, but has a punchable face, says Cited. And 2019, never watch a game for years until that semi-Samuel. I never thought about it that way. And did someone mention bum tickle? They did. ham chop, Sestrieri. Sestrieri? Is that how you say it? Sestrieri? Put him here, says Lamatasi. But yeah, second half, hopefully going to be just as entertaining. We haven't seen a British and Irish Lions concede a try in their series as of yet when they're on Australian soil. So we might see it soon. Your commentary is knowledgeable and entertaining. Greeting from Berlin, says Kalitsa. Thank you very much for being here. We are, of course, going to be here for South Africa versus Italy as well as the rest of the British and Irish Lions tour. Sestrieri. Or is it ear? Getting this Google Translate going. How? I need to hear it. How to pronounce. There we go. Pronounce Sestri. How to pronounce it? Sestria. Sestria. There you go. In the Italian Alps. You're not doing the Irish match? Probably not, because it does overlap a little bit, I think, with a couple of the other games, or at least it's very close to overlapping. I must say you're more entertaining than Super Sports presenters, says Farid, and two huge ones, says Jay. And France, come World Cup, they are dangerous, says Shane. And also, have you heard, or have you ever had a Savannah Premium? I have not, no. And my aunt calls you hamp chop. Oh, sorry, ham chop rather than hamp chop. And when it's Fiji versus Wallabies, it will be tomorrow afternoon for us here in New Zealand at about 3:30 p.m. local time is when it kicks off. We will be covering that one on the channel. And howdy, rugged lovers. So what you think of the close game with New Zealand? Very close, very intriguing, I think, to see what happens for the rest of this series, as France were definitely not an easy beat. And this match you're doing Argentina match, to be determined. I haven't decided yet. I think what will happen is after we do South Africa versus Italy, I'll then see whether or not it's worth me having, losing my voice for, I guess. But we might end up doing it. It's about 50-50 at the moment. Thanks for the commentary, buddy, from an Irish Leinster Lion in the middle of somewhere in northern Thailand. Says Ronnie. Well, hopefully. Is it hot in Thailand at this time of the year, or are you in the slightly cooler stages? I think it's always hot in Thailand, isn't it? Or at least it's relatively humid. We have got this. South Africa got more than 20. New Zealand, 20 plus millions. They should be good, says Daniel. We have got there. This is too funny. This awesome commentary is a godsend when I'm stuck at work and can't watch the game, says Sarah. Do you have a name tag at your job out of curiosity? And just to make it easier, you put the H on the end, so that people don't call you Sarah. As Steamy, says Ronnie, and if Lions already struggling with the clubs, what's going to happen to them when they meet the Australian teams later on? Go look what happened when they played in South Africa last time, says Jan Fent. Although, to be fair, they're not really struggling with the clubs. They've put on 106 points across their last two games. They're up by 9 at the moment over the Waratahs, but that can change very quickly. They could end up winning this game by 40. As the Reds weren't looking too bad at halftime either. The Reds were down by 8 at halftime to go on to lose by about 35. As you're drinking water reminds me of Jake White drinking his sorrows being fired, says Farid. To be fair, Jake White has 4 water bottles. I just have the one. We have got there. I do have a tag and some smartass added an H. It's probably me. I just secretly just put it on there right now. Since it's halftime, choose your 15 of the best players to represent the Southern Hemisphere Lions for all South Hemisphere countries. That's hard, Xavier. That's one that's going to have to use the brain a little bit. I think that, how about I don't give you an exact team, but I give you roughly what I think the split would be in terms of the, who would be in there country-wise. I think that if you've got 15 guys in a starting lineup, you're probably getting one Argentine in there somewhere across the board, just because, of course, you want to have everyone involved. I think that you probably... I think you get 1 or 2 Aussies in that lineup too, although I do think you'd also probably look at a couple Australians making their way off the bench in that lineup. Will Skelton might sneak in if he's in good form, or Angus Bell might be an option. But then it's up against Oxnashare in terms of getting that starting spot. And then you have got the youngster And I've just realised I'm pretty much saying who you've said. I was about to say Suali'i as a possibility in that back line, but I do think you probably have maybe like 5 New Zealanders and about 7 South Africans in a lineup. Like Etzebeth's probably in that locking duo, you'd think. You've got, that back line, you can honestly, Ches and Colby's in there too. Did you see the stats in the first half, territory and possession? I think they put them up before, but now they're showing the All Blacks stats, which is slightly annoying because I should have been paying attention, shouldn't I? Is there a place for Nick White and a stash? Probably not in a World 15 or at least a Southern Hemisphere 15. I knew it. Says Sarah there. And also Reihana plays for Māori ABs. Do you think he can make the ABs at some point? I think so. I think Reihana showed throughout those later games for the Crusaders that he has got, all the attributes that make him cool, calm, and collected under pressure. Now, form can change, injuries can happen, and whatnot. We have got the what other teams are playing for the Lions. We've got it somewhere here, actually. There we go. So, oh, no, we don't. It's the wrong one. One moment. We'll go here. I'll try and get my eyes working, and we'll find the right one this time. There we go. So these are their matches. Of course, don't worry about the fact that the Waratahs are playing in 3 days. That's not true. They're playing now. But they've got the Brumbies next Wednesday. Then they play the AU and NZ Invitational XV. That will be a very intriguing matchup because they've already announced some pretty stacked players for that side, whether it is going to be Nari Lamape, Mark Talia, I think, who else? David Havili's in there. They've got Shannon Frizzell. Sean Stevenson, I think, is also in that one. But yeah, those are the rest of the games. They've also got a First Nations and Pacifica XV taking place on the 22nd of July, where hopefully we'll get to see a few great players from the Pacific Islands in action. But yeah, intriguing for the rest of this tour. We have got there not too bad a score. I'm running around the shopping centre. Miss you guys, says Ruth. And Bodie at that prime was levels above. And Stevenson, useful player, says Ruth. And Waratahs seem to be holding them off. Yeah, currently turnovers conceded 7 from the Waratahs compared to the 7 of the Lions compared to the 4 of the Waratahs. Kicking meters extremely even. Tackles pretty even too. 76 for the Lions, 74 for the Waratahs. I think they put up the stats about possession again, and I missed it twice in a row. So I do apologise for that, but I believe the earliest or the latest one that I can think of was about 60% in favour of the Lions, and I'd say that that's not a mile off what we've seen here. Be good to see the cannonball out there, says Gus. Amish, please wear your South Africa box jersey today. I sadly don't own one. I have a South Africa shirt, but it's green, and my green screen's green, so I would actually be invisible, which could be fun. What kind of guidance is that? Don't talk yourself out of it, says Jay. What was that for? I talk too fast. I keep forgetting things. At halftime already, says Ruth. Yeah, first half flew by in that matchup. What do you think the final score will be? I'll tell you what I think it could be, but what I want it to be is close. But I have a bad feeling that we could actually see the Lions win this game about 42 points to 12. There we go. That's the prediction. 42-12, the end score. It'd be very brutal to say that they're going to concede that many tries, the Waratahs, but you just wonder if they'll slow down. You should get the away jersey for the box. It's a cool design. Says Cited and Ireland hurling semi-final weekend, says John. And also, Hamish, they've got great beef burgers here at Checkers Supermarket, says Ruth. It'd be quite a long flight for myself to get over to Checkers to try a burger, but perhaps one day I have to make it happen. Both sides making their way out of the tunnel. The bad feeling is the Lions win it then, says Mr. Orlin. I don't know if that's a bad feeling. It's just the feeling that we've got at the moment. Can see our highlights. Or just seen our highlights. Mackenzie Dynamite with ball in hand. You missed my hypothetical question that I posed, says David. Wait a minute. Where is it? Here we go. If the roles were reversed and it was the Tri/Four Nations team visit the Northern Hemisphere, which countries do you think they'd visit? Just some brain food. I'd assume that it would just be the same sides as they play in the November International. So you'd probably go Ireland, France. You'd play all the Six Nations teams more than likely for the tour. And then maybe a couple other teams in there too, such as maybe an Invitational or something along those lines. And I'd love to see you here in Cape Town and take you for a burger at Checkers, says Ruth. And now, kickoff for the second half underway. The Tars down by 9. The Reds were down by 8 at halftime in their contest, and they went on to lose that game by about 30. You got an admirer there, bro, says Andrew, and Lions to get 50 like Wednesday, says Connor there too. Kicked high from Alex Mitchell. It's Sarah or Sarah? I assume you're saying Sarah with the H, but without it. Don't talk yourself out of it. So, now you're playing mind games, and your name's not even Sarah. And Cork versus Dublin. And also, we can't afford to lose. Oh, those are the two semi-finals, sorry. See, I haven't watched any of said sport, but maybe I should have a look at it. I don't know where to watch it here in New Zealand, though. Is it on YouTube, John? And I agree, but in this reality, let's go Lions, says David. And now, line out throw here for the Waratahs. They're only 5 metres out from this Lions line, so a perfect start to the half. 41 minutes in, plenty of time to work with. And see you at second half. I'm going to sprint. Now, nicely done. You see, you got to put messages beforehand, Tony, so that you build into it. That is quite the name. Oh, the Waratahs over with the rolling maul. His head hit the ground very hard for Ethan Dobbins. But they will strike first in the second half, and that is the first time we've seen anyone score against the British and Irish Lions for this 2025 British and Irish Lions series in Australia. Had to clarify that because, of course, Argentina, they got themselves some in the warm-up, and maybe you're right. I've been Sarah all along. I've talked myself out of it. See, now I'm talking myself out of it. My name has 2 H's in it, so you can have one of them if you'd like. Although that would mean I'm either Amish or Hamith. But just over the line for the Waratahs. Finn Smith trying to duck in underneath and stop that one from being grounded. And great rolling maul, says Jimbo. Ethan Dobbins, the big moment. Good opportunity to line up the kick here for Jack Bowen too. And get that man some oranges, says Gus. And a Goliath of them all. And hits the post and bounces away. So that's 0 from 2 at the moment for Bowen off the tee. But 14-10. Making the score just that little bit closer. US Lions fans roar, says B. And there if you have RTE over there, I think, is RTE the free one, Connor? Because if it's the free one, then I think I've got a VPN that can set me to Ireland. Interesting, says Robert Wood. Yeah, the Waratahs getting the ball now just 22 metres out from their line. And baboom, come on, is the fella playing or not? Says the distracted. He sadly is not, Tony. No. Do you think there's actually... No, there can't be someone with a name very similar to that in real life, can there? And maybe you have 4 H's. Or you think 2 of them are maybe silent and I've forgotten them. That would seem like a lot of H's in a name, though. It looked like I had a whole heap of rugby goalposts if I was doing it in capitals. Line out here. Luke Cowan, Dickey claims it at the front. Josh Van der Flair going across to the right-hand side. Finn Smith with a short ball to Tui Pilotu. Tackled by Gamble. Skip past there. Finn Smith. Mr. Hugh Jones has the ball ripped off him by Joey Walton, but picked back up by Alex Mitchell. Smith goes to Skurman. Rush defence. That's a numberless man. I think that's Tyke Byrne. He's had the 6 ripped straight off the back of him. And also, let's have a TMO for the conversion, huh? Says David. You should do a live stream for it, says Connor. I'd have absolutely no idea what's going on, though, and people would definitely judge me. Alex Mitchell, he's found a gap to be able to run out. Andrew Callaway misses a tackle. Beautiful wide cut-out pass. Kinghorn does a knee slide off to Van der Flair, and that's going to be either a phenomenal finish or he's in touch. But, of course, this one will be checked because I don't know how you couldn't. Okay, Paul Williams says he thinks he's lost it. I'm over the TMO says although this one is the perfect scenario to use it because, you know, he did go heavily. Oh, no, they're not even going to use the TMO. They just called it as a knock-on and it will now be a goal line dropout. The numberless man sounds like an art house film. Oh, he just didn't. His own hand stopped him from being able to score at Josh van der Flair. And didn't need to check that. No, they've seen it clearly. And we have got there Lions under the cosh. And Timo again, says B. And no try, says Jimbo. And I think he lost it, says Sighted. And there too. And they won't. I will be there for it, says Connor. So it's 5 p.m. Irish time, right? Is that today or tomorrow? Because if it's 5 p.m. Irish time today, we'll be covering the South Africa-Italy game at that stage. All kicking behind from the Lions. Doesn't work out for Finn Smith. Cleaned up. My Derby Lancaster. Bloody good that the Tars are taking it to us. Great respect to them. Fair play. Nothing worse than a runaway score. Respect where respect is due. Says Kuno. Reckon I think Farrell will be a bench on Wednesday if not starting, says Jay. Right, it's back on the side of the Lions. Now Ben Earl. Oh, no look pass from Dewey Belotto. Very flat and knocked on by Tyke Byrne. Getting out of that tackle attempt was Thomas Lambert. Offloads up to Fergus Lee Warner. Still 30 metres out from their line, the Waratahs. They are at the most dangerous when they're not in their half. I think they have to get out of here. And Tars are in this one. Their defence at home. Oh, yeah, was great, says Studs Rays. Kicked high. Chasing after it. The Waratahs down towards the halfway line, but Mac Hansen does clean it up. Finn Smith being poor, says Morgan. So does that open the window for Owen Farrell? Or are you looking at Finn? You got to look at Finn Russell, don't you, as the starting 10? Do you? I'd look at him as the starting 10 in the big games, but I'm not sure what they'll be going with. Also, injuries can still play a bit of a factor. That's a steep bouncing ball. Pierre Schumann tackled off the ball, but now Alex Mitchell offloads on the outside to Hugh Jones, finds the pass. Little chip attempted from Kinghorn, sits back up for Hugh Jones, tries the grubber. Little rainbow flick there, if anyone knows what that is from the football side of things, but there was a knock on, and we're back to the scrums. Oh, counter ruck from Kinghorn, must not have heard the whistle. I empty the bench, British and Irish line, says Mike. And Tars gaining confidence, says Sided. Yeah, quite close in this contest, just the 4 points separating them. This is the closest game so far in the Lions store, says Shane. Yeah, although it has to stay close at the end of it. Because, or else, we have seen the last 20 or 30 minutes, that's normally when the Lions start to really just go for it. I don't think there's a knock on there, is there? Who knocked that one on? I think it was a rainbow flick. Schnookums. There's Gus. To commenters, please. Let's not rehash the anti-Farrell vitriol. He left to France to escape it. He's done his time in the desert, the Sahara, with an H. Sorry, no one will get that reference. Sarah will, though. And some of the ones who were here during that time. Inside joke. But now scrum feed. And shout out to my son Dixon, who has joined me on the docks in Greece. And go the Tars, says Stephen. So yeah, hopefully Dixon is enjoying. Is it a holiday in Greece or you just live in Greece, Stephen? In which case, what about the ocean? Now that one's a bit more obvious, Tony. Now scrum feed. Alex Mitchell. He's actually gone all right in this game. So far, Tars are a good side filled with Wallabies, says Fareed, although only about 2 or 3 Wallabies for this match. What was your performance on the All Blacks versus France? I think that France played much better than people gave them credit for in terms of all were going to play in that game. I think that the All Blacks, they had their fair share of issues, and I think that second game is going to be a very intriguing one. I feel very privileged to be an inside joke, says Sarah. And also Justin was catching up with earlier games, says Patrick, and Lions should have waited till Christchurch Stadium is open and come to New Zealand, says Shane. Well, they will be coming to New Zealand in 2029, so the stadium should be open by then. That one's going to be going away with another free kick. Alex Mitchell took the tap a long way off the mark, but Finn Smith goes across there, bounce past to Hugo Keenan. Still on the side of the Lions, 4 minutes remaining. Sorry, that's a lie. 4 points difference. I'm just making stuff up at this point. That's another knock on, though. That's not made up. We get another scrum. And into the TMO, no way, they didn't need the TMO, says Gus. Sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time, do. Is that like a song? I assume that's a song that I should know, but I don't know it. Are you going to cover the Black Ferns? I think we'll be covering the Women's Rugby World Cup, hopefully, as long as there aren't too many overlaps throughout it. What's your prediction when the Lions face the Anzac, Hamish? I think it could be competitive, to be honest. Have the rest of France test sold out? I believe so. I think they're either very close to selling out or only 1,000 or 2,000 tickets away. I think a lot of people wanted to wait to see how this match went, so maybe there will be a few tickets still available. I'm watching the tide roll away. Ooh, yes. Is that also part of that same song? Because if it is, I still don't know what that song is. Is it like an old school Beatles or a Bee Gees or something from the yesteryears? Maybe. Now, where can you buy the Anzacs jersey? I have no idea, if I'm being honest. I don't even know if they've announced the Anzac jersey yet, have they? And Sarah, we haven't got to beurre yet. Isn't that French for butter? Says Jay. Otis Reading. Right. Please don't get mad. I don't know who that is. And I feel like I should. Don't hate me too much. But yeah, I don't know who that fellow is. Old school, I assume. But could be wrong. Great old soul music, Hamish. Many artists covering it. And now, Tui Palotu. Passing off to Shgum, they're 22 metres out from the Waratahs line. Player staying down here for the Waratahs. Look like a relatively severe injury. Alex Mitchell, piercing run. 15 out. Smith off to Earl. Skip past to Hanson. Tries to grub her in behind, and it just goes dead. And Boo Hemi, old school great, and sitting on the dock of the bay is the song, bro. Says Johnny. A song in the OG Top Gun movie. Maybe that's why I didn't know it. I haven't seen Top Gun. Unfortunately. You strike me as a Village People fan. What songs do they have? Because I might know one, but I can't name you one off the top of my head. What's their most famous song? Maybe I'll have a chance. Sitting on the dock of the bay, says Brian. And Michael Bolton did a cover as well. Have you heard of him? Next question. YMCA, I know of that song. We had to sing it at school. But yeah, other than that, I'm not sure if they got any other songs that I would know. Benched these underachievers, says Jimbo. So subs are being made by the British and Irish Lions. Kick downfield from the Waratahs. Finn Smith sending it up high. This is being chased by Blair Kinghorn, who's going to get a good leap into it, but does knock it on. Waratahs back across now to Rob Leota. Heard of the Spice Girls? I have. They've got their You Wanna song. It's probably the only song. Oh, Joe McCarthy. Sitting 20 metres out. Tyke Burns still numberless. Still tryless in this match too. Tyke Furlong looking for the offload. That's going to be knocked back by the Tars. Lawson Creighton tries to kick it. Gets it to 22. We'll go back for another scrum. Who's the starting 8? It is Ben Earl. And there's one, you don't know the King of Soul, Otis Reading. Is Oasis the return? Hit New Zealand yet? I don't know. I'm not sure. Ginger Spice. I used to tug. Oh, no. I'm glad I stopped reading that when I did. Uriah Heep, been going for over 50 years now. And Burr's French for butter, I have no idea. I'm Scottish, so all I know is it means an annoying sharp piece of metal. I learned that in metalwork in school because everyone took the mick out of me. Ah, I see. So it means it's a sharp piece of metal, like a knife? I feel like, yeah, knives are dangerous, aren't they? But currently, 28 minutes left. We got another stoppage due to a few more injuries. A few more subs. You don't feel the need for speed. These are all references that are just going, straight over the top. I got no show. And B. Earl, solid Amish, or Ben Earl, says Mr. All-In. He's had a couple moments in this game. I'd say that at the moment, Van der Fleer has probably been more busy in terms of moments that we've seen. Lions must be fatigued, says Zai. Top Gun reference. Yep. I have a whole heap of movies I need to watch. I learn that each and every time. A Waratah is also a sharp bit of metal, says Jay. Well, there you go. Where do you watch the games from? Sky Sport 1 here in New Zealand, but free kick goes against the Lions. Oh, okay, that's going to become play on because he did actually move in the run-up. I think that the Waratahs player was looking at the ref, and Scott Cummings said, I'll actually try and get up there. So it is going to become a scrum now to the... Wait. Why is it a scrum to the Lions? What happened here? Okay, so because he did a half little hesitate, and then we saw him look at the referee, he's not allowed to pass from there. He has to kick it himself. And we have there Waratah as a flower close to a protea, says WJ. And Village people also do In the Navy. Oh, I've heard that song, yeah. See how excited I get when I actually know what's being talked about for the old school stuff? I feel like that's a little tick in the right column. I told you I use VIP Sports. I had no problems. I get links from all over the world, says Shane. And poor era, says Jimbo. Now looking for for the scrum, and the penalty does go the way of the British and Irish Lions again. Ellis Genge fired up, gets a big hug from Ben Earl. A little bit of angling from the tight head, so Finn Smith again will kick it towards the sideline. This is where the rolling maul could come into play. And for the Waratahs, they do still need to stop this Lions attack, because if they don't, then you're down by more than 7, and it can get ugly in a hurry with this Lions team when they're firing. She and Genge crushing it, says Jimbo, and we will now get to see Dan Sheehan as a part of that rolling maul. On that one in. And Shane Mann fired up against the average club team, says Ethan. However, there are Waratahs is also a fencing staple. They're named all to go into the short side. Teller the dummy, that is brilliant. From Alex Mitchell. Finn Smith took all of the shots in terms of tackles, but Alex Mitchell went through untouched. Stepped up big time in this game. Silly by the Tars. Match turning momentum, says Stephen Wales. And damn, it was angling bad put in. And also, there's a bad display by the Lions. Seriously, says Robbie Inch. Although they normally do get better as the match wears on. We saw that in their first 2 contests. But yeah, well done from Alex Mitchell to find that gap. Go the Tars, says Gus. I think our Tars have run low on excitement, said. And Bull Bags McGee says, distracted spot. Is that Alex Mitchell's nickname or just a nickname? That's not my nickname, is it? Looking ominous, says Suds Rays. It's going to be tough now for the Lions. For the Waratahs to be able to get back into it. It sounds like a English heavy B team Lions this week. Or it's more so just the channels. You know, the 9-10 are both English. And then you've also got Ben Earl as the number 8 from England too. Other than that, there wasn't a huge amount of English players in the starting lineup. And try, says David, and 3 overturned tries for New Zealand against France. That is true, yes. And bad defence, says Shane, for New South Wales. Now still 25 minutes left. Good try, says Lamatasi. 21-10 the score. It looks like Tane Edmed, he has made his way onto the field for the Waratahs. Who else is out there? I think that was Jack Barrett, was it, that I saw? I see Vailanu is out there. Daniel Botha also. He has made his way on. Lions now told to use it. Alex Mitchell kicking downfield again. The Waratahs' first half try should have been disallowed due to crawling, says Duncan. I guess they get better, and I understand this is far from the team that will face the Wallabies. But still, there are all seasoned internationals with a lot of experience. They should be 30 plus, says Robbie. Oh, little knock on there from the Waratahs again, and this is starting to really hurt them. Every time they get half an attacking chance, they just seem to be putting that ball down. Tars are in this common for Campese. I was tired, or I was expecting the Lions to do better here, tired. I think it's just, like there have been changes across their lineup, and that's what you expect for a British and Irish Lions talk. There's always going to be those switches, but I think tactically they've got it a little bit wrong up against the Waratahs here. Ben Earl has got to be 95 years old by now. Says Hangarat. Now another scrum. This is where we are starting to see a little bit more dominance coming for the Lions. Lions may hit 50 again, and Xander Yeh should be 38 points to 27. Says Mr. All-In. And Tars are tired now, says Sighted. And that's where the changes are going to be so crucial. Off that bench, Mitchell feeding the ball in once more. This one, another advantage. Going the way of the Lions. Sione Tuipulotu spins out of 2 challenges. Mitchell. Off to Joe McCarthy now. Finn Smith wide cut out pass. Going to the hands of Duan Fundamerva, who sat down Andrew Callaway. We're in the number 20 on his back today, Fundamerva, with a late inclusion. Into the side, new advantage coming. Hugh Jones, skip pass, finds no one, but now sits up for Dan Sheehan. Looping around with Josh van der Flair, almost through, offloads to Genge. 20 metres out, Gamble had his hands down, but now manages to get the steal and the turnover for the Waratahs. How do you think the Wars women will go tomorrow? I don't actually know who they're playing, if I'm being completely honest, so no idea. Hopefully all right. And Tars knackered. Says a David there. Welcome to Oz, where all the jokers are. Says David. Now back across to the left-hand side. Finn Smith. Up to the halfway line. They're just allowing the Lions too much space to be able to work with at the moment. Told to get out of there for Vailanu, who does well to pull out. Now Alex Mitchell looking for the 50-22. It's going to bounce at a touch. Was it a 50-22? Yes, it was. Just inside of their half. Great kick from Mitchell. He's got to be up there for man of the match at the moment, doesn't he? Hands on the ground. Is that consistent revving, says Studs Race? Possibly not. Fundamerva will score soon, says Robert. And also Fundamerva to register, says David. And good try, says he who knows. It's the first yawn of the day. Hopefully the last. We have got a big night ahead. We are going to be covering the match between South Africa and Italy. That has taken place at 3 a.m. New Zealand time, but we are starting from 2 a.m., which is in 2.5 hours' time. Sheehan goes off to Hansen. Can't quite get through. Mitchell, skip pass, finds Ben Earl. Right now, they're really on the verge of scoring again. A massive gap for Alice Genge, who gets it down and scores another try. I think the ref has lost it, says Jay. And also, Lions will lose to Australia. They are playing, or they are trying to play running rugby. That won't work against Australia. Play loose, or play loose and you will lose. Even against bad Aussie team. Says Barry, right, they are checking this grounding of Alice Genge. I just want to say thank you for doing this commentary. No worries at all, Trevor. It is greatly appreciated you being here for this one. They are just checking to see. Oh, no, he knocked it out of his own hand, Alice Genge. They're making sure there's no clear knock on. There clearly is. So this has to be a no try, doesn't it? Yep. It's going to be knocked on. Was Finn Smith going over to talk to Paul Williams about possibly debating that one? And tries coming thick and fast, and great strength by Genge. And he dropped it, says Jimbo there, and disaster, says Patrick. So no try. Knock on against Genge. It will now be a goal line dropout. That's it. Waratahs actually doing quite well defensively at times in the chat. Lions are 42 already. CSJ, and no try. Great check ref, says Mr. All-In, and you can see that knock on from the moon. Says Hangarat, do you think if knocked out by a defender, it should be a knock on? It depends on who you talk to. Because if it's a strip, then it is play on, as we learnt. I think it was Makazole Mapimpi who scored a try in that fashion last year up against New Zealand. That it was Geordie Barrett ripped it out. But because Geordie ripped it, it wasn't considered a knock on. It was considered as play on. All for refereeing there. Says Robbie Inch. Like for the knock on, or just in general. And out to Tuipulotu. Back across Marcus Smith goes on the outside. Hugh Jones. Has Duan Fundamerva with him. This is going to be a tricky one. He was close to touch. That close to 4-2. And now loose ball picked up by Marcus Smith. Thinking about the cross kick. He will go for it. Out to Mac Hansen. Cuts back inwards. Puts the ball to Earl. This game's starting to really open up now. And also Blues, oh, hang on. He's in touch on the far side. They've got the call from the TMO, so they will go right back for it. But Dawn van der Merwe foot touches the line at the time of offloading. Our Wallabies couldn't beat their way out of paper bag. All the talk of the club side softening the Lions up for the Wallaby test is laughable, says David. And foot and touch their side and great defence from Jimbo. Lions backline looked pretty good, says Hangarat. Yeah, they're starting to find their rhythm. It actually happens so far in all of their games that the second half is when they start to thrive. And I don't know whether or not that is fitness that gives them the massive edge or whether it is just they've finally found that cohesion. Stephen Wales, no try as usual. And Tar still in it, says Gus. Yeah, with 11 points difference. Matt Phillip on the field and wins the line out for the Waratahs. Sits up now for Teddy Wilson. And Callaway has to play half. Matt Phillip with the short ball. I don't think we've seen Andrew Callaway run with the ball in open space yet. I think he had one time where he shoveled it on. But have they got the ball to him yet in this game? Tane Edmed kicking this one up high now. He has to chase after it close to the sideline. Well handled by Duhan van der Merwe. Be lined up by Daniel Bota. And hanging on desperately, says David. It's the bench second stream front row replaced by first team, says Jimbo. You see also Jack Morgan, one of the standout players from the last contest for the British and Irish Lions. He has made his way on to Marcus Smith. Wide cut out pass, finds Ben Earl. Not clearly forward, says Paul Williams, so it will continue. Alex Mitchell back across to Marcus Smith. Tyke Furlong, 38 metres out. Waratahs, how long can they hang on for? Smith finds Kinghorn. That looked even closer to forward, but Mac Hansen goes on the outside. Darby Lancaster drags him down. Throwing that ball back, and that will be the penalty for the Waratahs. Isn't it 21 points to 10? It is, yes. And that was kept in, says Scott Bowie. Although I think the TMO was the one who checked it and must have decided that it was out. Now Kinghorn, just that wide cut-out pass to Mac Hansen. Got him a little bit isolated there. And yeah, it was just out the back of the breakdown. The ball did pop. And again, hands in the ruck ref, says Scott. 11 points difference, says Hangarat. Yeah, currently with the 17 minutes or so remaining in this matchup, another change being made. Oh, they are just getting a player off. Right now they can continue on. So Amato Cero will stay out there. It's going to be the line out now for the Waratahs. Prediction on points for the Wallabies versus Fiji tomorrow. I hope it's close. I do think for Fiji's sake they have to have a good game up against Australia, but for Australia's sake they have to win that contest. Oh, rush defence there from Adamson, who absolutely flew up like a tracer bullet. Now another knock on in the breakdown. Alex Mitchell this time. Commentators starting to talk a little bit of stick. They're saying it's hard to believe that this British and Irish Lions side are the same side that beat the Western Force and got 50 points up against both of their previous oppositions. All I'm going to say is the game's not over. Still another 16 minutes remaining. It can change very quickly. Fabian Holland play the full 80 minutes and keep the same work rate. Aldo, his lineouts were solid, says Tanner. And Waratahs finding a bridge too far. Currently carry meters. Double for the British and Irish Lions. Post-contact meters, they've had more than double there. 11 line breaks. Bad call, ref, says Jimbo. All that time wasting, and they're still losing their own line out. And unlike Lions, nobody adds. Oh, that's going to be another penalty this time, going the way of the Waratahs. It wasn't a knock-on, says Scott. And unlike Lions, normally up by a lot, says Shane. Now kicking towards the sideline, does go out. Another opportunity here for the Tars. 15 minutes now remaining. About 15 metres out from the try line. One more here for the Tars makes this very intriguing for the final 10 to 15 minutes. We have got there go the East Rugby Connections. Says Stephen there, lines are wobbling a bit. Maybe because of the long tour. Says Hanger Rat ball there, Gamble. Goes across to Tane Edmed. Marcus Smith tackles him. Bounce pass, Charlie Gamble does well. Hugh Jones knocks it down, although that looked like, is it a knock-on? Yes, it is, against the Waratahs this time. Matt Phillip is furious. He is saying it was from the hand of Hugh Jones. Okay, it's a knock-on at this stage, they've said. Prince William in the crowd. You don't think that was Prince William, did you, Shane? The one who they showed earlier on in the crowd we're cheering for him with the older fella next to him, right? That was not Prince William. Furlong first. And Phil Wall, legend, says sighted. And Hamish, I see a lot of empty seats. Says Tommy Tank Gaming, right. What happened in that one? They're saying look at the replay. Right, and they will check this one. And they're checking it now, says Hanger Rat, and knock on the Waratahs, says David. Oops, says Shane. Right. Assistant referee James Dolman coming over. Okay, I've seen a replay of it clearly going backwards off red, says James Dolman, so the scrum will go the way of the Waratahs due to the miscommunication. And change of scrum, intentional knockdown. Tell you what, if that went forward half a metre, then he could have been in a bit of trouble, Hugh Jones, but it's going to be the scrum feed now for the Waratahs. I don't think Harry was in the crowd in this throw, says Gus. And just like the French plus the Tars have pulled up to fight, or put up the fight. Now 14 minutes, still ticking by. Now going to be fed in by the Waratahs. Tars scrum is not good, says Hanger Rat. It's gone down this time, and the penalty to the British and Irish Lions. Ben Hill, he is celebrating that one hugely. No F way, there was clear knock on from Blue, says Scott. What, from the replay? Marcus Smith. Now kicking this one into touch. And Tars ball scrum, says David. Is Prince Harry allowed to like rugby anymore? Says Studs Ray. And how do you mess up your own scrum at that point on the field? Not good. And go the line, says Shane. And the TMOs undermine the confidence of the refs. They should either enter the fray if the ref, or they should only enter the fray when the refs ask for their opinion. And one of the Tars just won this game, unlikely, but if. Says Dylan, yeah, they are the closest of all the Aussie sides at this point in time. Going to the front of the line out there, the Lions. Mitchell played a solid 66 minutes of rugby thus far. Tsioni Tuipulotu trying to bump off. Amato Cero close to a turnover for the Waratahs there. Ben Earl tries to step but slips over. And interesting line-out tactics. He's Hanger Rat kicked high. Tyke Byrne going to be going up for it, but Andrew Callaway knocks it back to Rob Leota. Last-ditch effort from Mitchell, who stops the line break. Now Wilson, across to Tane Edmed, Lawson, Creighton, drop ball from Charlie Gamble, but it's gone backwards. And Arias King says Gus. I've been told to use it now. Kicked high from Wilson. In fact, no, just a shallow one in that case. Tane Edmed knocks it back. Picked up well by Teddy Wilson. Does another chip in behind, close to the sideline, and it will... It just goes out only by half an inch, though, and it will be a Lions throw. We have got there, Ben Earl is famous in the UK for over-celebrating tiny wins mid-game. He's actually famous outside of the UK for it as well. But yeah, the man loves to be fired up. You know, knock on from the other team. He celebrates more than some players do when they win a match. But then if that's what they need to be able to fire them up and keep them going and keep that mentality, then I guess players have their own thing. I love Ben Earl's energy, says Trevor Morgan. And Plastic Energy, says Studs Race. And also surely a Tars line out. Yeah, that's the British and Irish Lions who will get to throw this ball in. They are only 15 metres out from their line with 12 minutes on the clock. Tyke Byrne claims the line out at the front. And again, the rolling maul is set. That was almost breaking away. But he has got just the one arm on for Dan Sheehan. Now Alex Mitchell. Ben Earl tries the step, gets through, and keeps on running, pumping the legs. Didn't want to offload. But instead, Mitchell using the breakdown quickly. Marcus Smith wide, cut out pass, goes to Duan Funamurva, finds himself out on the wing. Tackle made by Andrew Callaway. Now low tackle on Alice Gengel. That was almost a hard driving one. McCarthy dragging the player down, but also not releasing, going against, oh no, Joey Walton, don't be doing that. Joey Walton has just made a face and done that with a bit of a wave to the Lions. They're down by 11 though, aren't they? So, like, win the game first, then wave them goodbye. We're going to see the replay here, though, for Joey Walton. Got in the breakdown. Missed the ball initially, but got on it afterwards. And kick off at 5 p.m. South African time. Yeah, so he gave him a bit of a wave there, Joey Walton. But still plenty of time. 10 minutes remaining. Missed tackles 28 for the Tahs. Gone over the top and the Lions get it back. He's in the USA's only. If the Eagles lose the Abies by 100. Now kick downfield from Marcus Smith, who gets a really good amount of distance on that one. In fact, it might be too good. Going into the in-goal area. Ball bouncing around Darby Lancaster. He's going to force it down and it becomes the goal line dropout. And 4 p.m. says Fareed. For when the South African game is taking place, I assume that is. Kick off 5 p.m. South African time. But yeah, we are going to be covering that one on the channel. Oh, yeah, there it is from Neil. Are you covering South Africa, Italy? Hamish, great commentary as always. Yep, so we are going to be covering it. We are going live in about 2 hours, 20 minutes time for our hour of build-up before the match. But yeah, the actual match starting in about 3.5 hours time. I don't think a single South African province won in the last 2 Lions tour. So here's a cool story. Now Marcus Smith pops it up to Hugh Jones. Mitchell. Oh, that's an injury of some sort for Ben Earl. I hope it's just cramp. I've already lost enough players throughout the last couple of games. Pop pass. That was a risky one. Now another knock on from the Lions. And the Tahs have the scrum again. Seems to be what we've found in the second half is scrum. And then we see a bit of a break. And then it's back to the scrum. Will you be covering the Fiji versus Australia game? We will certainly be doing it. And that will be hopefully a very good game taking place in Newcastle. But yeah, the Sunday afternoon fixture, I'll be setting an alarm to get back up and cover that one too. If Ben Earl is injured, get Jack Willis in ready. I really hope he's not though, says Jack. No, he's not, says Kiwi Rob. No, he's. What's that for? Is that if Ben Earl's injured or the covering of Australia Fiji? Because the answer to both of those is at the moment, yes. It looks like maybe just twisted in the way that he landed. Waratahs not embarrassed, says Robert Wood. You reckon Lions are playing shadow tactics, just training runs? I think that they just haven't quite been as fluent as they were in their first 2 matches. And score says Lions 14. Didn't Mitchell just score, says Jay? Wait, when's that? Jay might be from the past. Jay might have gotten like a 15-minute ad and forgot to skip it. Because that happened a long time ago that Mitchell was able to score that try. Now, big push. And the penalty again goes the way of the Lions. You could hear the commentators all going, ugh, as if to say that's not quite what they wanted to see. But it's effective for the Lions as they continue to win those scrum penalties. Both are having a tough day at the office. Marcus Smith again will look to kick this one towards the sideline. And this is where the rolling maul could really come into it. Dan Sheehan at the back, normally a talisman for tries being scored in that manner. But it's just the fact that once again it was the feed for the Waratahs. There's in the backs can't deliver for the front pack. Says Mr. All in and not a single completed scrum in this match. Atrocious both sides here cited. I don't think the Lions' second layer players are doing enough to threaten the first 15 places. Says Jimbo, but now back across to this left-hand side. Pop pass up to Hugh Jones. Ben White to make his way off the bench. But I have to say, Alex Mitchell for me is the man of the match. Yes, Hugh Jones has had a good game too, but Alex Mitchell, with the exception of 1 or 2 handling errors, he's really controlled this game for the Lions, even if the scoreboard says otherwise. But another win in the breakdown for Charlie Gamble. He's getting it time and time again. Did he just do a celebration as well? Or has he got a sore hand? I think he was putting a shark fin on his head. Or 4, as if to say that's 4 turnovers. Now Tane Edmund. This one downfield. Tars are tired and they are playing against the selected few of 4 different countries. So in my opinion, respect. Says Hanger at and tries coming, says Shane. And I don't think the Lions, I read that one and could be thuds, but I see the same game plan here. And with every other Joe Smith training book team, it's Void, I think that is, from Lamatasi. I think you're right about the fact that hate is a strong word. What about not my cup of tea? Says cool story. How long ago was that from? That was at the start of the live stream, wasn't it? That was mentioned. Oh, it's a knock on now, though, from Jack Grant. Didn't take it cleanly. Scott Cummins apologises for absolutely crunching him afterwards, but we are back for another scrum on the 22. This time still the Lions. That was backwards, says Hanger Rat. And ref, says Scott, but we have seen 4 steals from Charlie Gamble throughout this game. 12 tackles made. Been a busy man out there. Unforced error, says Cited. And agree, Neil, says from England. And come on the Lions, says Shane. Yeah, are we going to see one more try? And there's Matt ref. Get it right there in ruck with hands. Preventing release. I think that's preventing, isn't it? It's just got a space instead of the N. 5.5 minutes left. Ben White to feed the ball in once more. Magnificent stash, by the way. Is that from... Yeah, Charlie Gamble's got quite the... He's had a few unique looks across the years. He used to have longer hair, knock on from Mac Hansen this time, but they will go back for the initial penalty at scrum time. I wonder how the Brumbies will fare against the Lions. They're a class outfit. Yeah, I'm curious to see what Brumbies lineup they select because they have got a lot of great players, but a lot of them are in that Australian squad. So in that regard, they'll probably, they might not have Slipper, they might not have Alatoa, which are 2 guys that up front can really help them out. Definitely when we're seeing how dominant the Lions scrum has been in this match. Great commentary as usual. Are you covering South Africa, Italy? We certainly are, yes. And we've got an hour build-up for that match too. This is a perfect excuse to put Owen in the next team, says Fleshin. Now 5-metre line out here for the Lions, thrown into Cummings. Well, that ball struggled to get into the maul, actually landed on top of one of the other Lions players in said maul. But now it is rolling. Mac Hansen next to Tui Palotu. I have no idea who's got that ball in hand, but it looks very close to a try. Sometimes it takes a while to process what you say because I'm using a Pentium 4. And another try is coming for the Lions, says Hanger Rat. Right, Paul Williams was just checking that. They will check it upstairs. Held up, can't see, says Cited. And try, says Jane Hayes, and try the Lions, says CJ there. Right. On-field decision is try. I don't even... Oh, there's the ball. Right, it's in the hands of Ellis Genge. Goes down. He's over the line. I can't see a grounding, though. There's too many blokes in the way. Oh, okay, it's not going to matter anyway because Ben Earl was in front of the jumper at the line out. So they are, by the looks of it, going to go back for obstruction just like we saw in the first half. Yep, Ben Earl's in front, so it's going to be no try anyway. Held up for sure, says Hanger Rat, and I hope Tars can score. Then the cat would be in the chicken coop, says Berry. Yeah, so they're going to have the conversation with the British and Irish Lions now. Right, Paul Williams. They were checking the grounding, but they saw it at line-out time. It'll be a penalty to the Waratahs. Charlie Campbell going off, yeah, says Gus. So it's an obstruction at the maul. And here's the game being officiated to death. And what's the on-field decision? On-field decision was tried, but then they had the initial penalty already that they've just found before the grounding. This Lions side would smash the All Blacks. Says CJ, the Tars have a magic get-out-of-jail-free card. Says Hanger Rat. Nicely taken by Cummings initially, but yeah, Ben Earl in front of him, so it is the accidental obstruction. Average game, bring on the Wallies. Says David, loose ball picked up by the Lions, who once again have caused trouble at the set piece. Mac Hansen chasing after that one, wanting the bounce of the ball, but it sits up for Derby Lancaster. And closest game of the tour so far, that is correct. Now a little kick in behind, attempted by Joey Walton. Dwan Fundamerva retreats and gets the ball on the halfway line. Oh, what have we found now? We're going back for another penalty somewhere back. Offside, I think it is, against the Waratahs when chasing that kick. Not good by the Lions. They need a few more tries, says George. George, have you met David? You guys both are, by the looks of it, the same football club supporters. Perhaps that's the same badge, isn't it? And another corner kick, says Hang a Rat. And also now what time kickoff is for the box. So the kickoff is going to be in 3 hours, 20 minutes time. But we are starting in 2 hours, 20 minutes time. MOT, says David, and did it really affect the game other than giving the team an excuse to disallow something? Says Fleshin. And was it a try? It was no try for Ellis Genn, so one of many tries that have been disallowed throughout this weekend. It's a try, no obstruction. You can't say that, though, Scott, if you said that the first Waratahs try was not a try, because that was the exact same scenario that the Waratahs had it disallowed for too. What do you find, or what do you mean finds himself out on the wing? That's where he plays, says David Kemp, but he has got the number 20 on his back for today, David, due to the late change of Henry Pollock out of the side, so that's more of the reasoning behind it, the fact that he's wearing a flankers jersey, but he is playing out on that left wing side. Now, going to be there now for Marcus Smith. Plus, in the world of rugby, a lot of guys do run in off their wings. Just look at that All Blacks versus France game. Allianz United, says Fleshin. Now, ball available for the Waratahs. Charlie Gamble, he also finds himself out on the wing, but he does not have a winger's jersey. Neither does Dwan Fundamerva. All right, now we're going back for another scrum. I'm expecting 50 plus with Italy versus South Africa for Tim. Says Mr. All in. And the Lions are practicing not winning and can't quite manage it, says Paul. And also, thanks for another great call, Hamish Dead Dre. They are showing Aaron Smith in attendance for this game, perhaps. Could be a name. It's thrown into that New Zealand and Australia Invitational XV. I know Falau Fakatava is already confirmed in it, so not a lot of spaces left. That halfback jersey. But Wallabies versus Fiji taking place tomorrow. South Africa versus Italy taking place in only around 3 hours, 20 minutes time, which we will be covering on the channel as well. And potentially England versus Argentina a little bit later on. We have got the Waratahs versus British and Irish Lions versus Reds and TMOs. Our rugby will suffer from these terrible officials, says David. Now ball's fed in by Ben White. Rolling forward again. Told to use it. On off to the left-hand side, Sigoni Tuipulotu, Marcus Smith, now quick hands. Dwan Fundamerva finds himself out on the wing. Now sitting 15 metres out from the line. Ben White goes back across. Ben Earl linking up of Ben's in the middle of the field. Ben White, drop ball that time from Tyke Byrne, and massive crunching tackle there from Daniel Bote, and the penalty does go the way of the Waratahs. And seconds left and another knock on for the Lions, says Hang a Rat, so now chance out wide. And that was almost a knock on from the Waratahs too. Yes, it was. Was the full-time siren. It was afterwards, which I think means that we are still going to have one last scrum here for the Lions. Get Aaron Smith to New Zealand. They need him badly. Says Berry, although to be fair, Cam Roygard was one of the standouts in the All Blacks backline. And we go there. Thanks for the laughs. And also in commentary, Hamish with the 4H's. Catch you in a bit for the next one. Says Sarah. So thank you very much for tuning in. Hopefully work has been flying by. If you're in Scotland, wait, no, you said you were Scottish. I don't know if you're in Scotland, but if you're in Scotland, I guess you'll still be at work for that South Africa-Italy one in 3 hours' time. And why are you sitting on your Rugby World Cup win? Says Mr. All-In. What's that for? I'm getting the feeling that what happened 12 years ago will happen again. Brumbies will be the only club side to beat the Lions, and thanks for the coverage. Says Evan, one last scrum here, though. The Lions I don't think they'll want to risk an injury. It's another scrum that has collapsed. Who do you think is going to win Springboks? So really, if South Africa lost that game, it would be not a good day for the Springboks. Like, they are expected to win comfortably. And normally they would be expected to win comfortably, but with the absence of a few of the Italian main players, like, it's going to be, or has potential to be, an absolute bloodbath. Hopefully not, though. Hopefully it's kind of close. This is supposed to be a thrashing. One Super Rugby side held its own against the best of the URC. Lol, says Lamatasi. South Africa by 50 plus, says Mr. All-In. Now Ben White to put the ball in once more. It looks like they are still keen to go for one last attack here, the Lions. And we got a free kick. Ben White takes a quick tap. Going off Marcus Smith. Mac Hansen thought about the offload, does get away to Blair Kinghorn, slips over, but gives it off to Duan van der Merwe. Will be 10 metres out from the line. Great low tackle, his knees in touch. The ball is 2 now, and that will be the end of the game. 21 points to 10. The most competitive match we have seen so far of the British and Irish Lions tour. Yep, I'll still be at work for the next one. It's almost 1 p.m. now. I'll still be slaving away, which means skiving and listening to you instead, says Sarah. We have to find out what job you actually have for the next one, I guess. Know how easy it is for you to... I assume you've got a headphone in or something, maybe, unless I'm playing over the whole office. And listening to New Zealander sounds like a rotten game, says Neil. It wasn't the best, I'll be honest. We definitely have seen better matches of the British and Irish Lions tour so far. Like, a lot of handling errors from both teams, I think, did stop the momentum. But then the thing is, it didn't cost the Lions because their scrum was so strong that even when they gave away those handling errors, they still won the penalty pretty much straight after. If Italy get close, the rest of us will have a bet, says Fleshin. And there as well, but Dan Sheehan making his way off the bench. You'd assume that he'd be starting perhaps in the next game up against the Brumbies. What time is the game for Springboks? For you in New Zealand, it will be kicking off at 3:10 a.m, but we are starting at 2:10 a.m, so you will have to listen to me for an hour and 10 minutes before the match even gets underway. So yeah, if you haven't already, be sure to do so. Also, because I am terrible at remembering, there is a pinned comment, ladies and gents, which has our membership, which don't really worry about that one, but the Instagram of the Kiwi Lads is down below it. It is the pinned comment. And we recently changed the profile picture. Not very good, mate, says Jason, in terms of the quality of the game. But yeah, I finally remembered to update the Instagram, and then I completely forgot to promote it all throughout this live stream. So that's a bit of a balls up on my part. But we will put the link in the chat. So anyone who does have the Instagram, we reply to all the messages we get on there, rugby related and even just in general. So if you want to tell me all the movies that I should be watching and whatnot, or how many H's I have in my name, be sure to check out that Kiwi Lads Instagram link. Give us a follow, as the cool kids say. I'm a horse riding instructor, but I've got no lessons booked today. I've got the yard to myself, no headphones, you're full blast, says Sarah. Well, hello to the horses as well, I guess, in that regard. Thanks, Hamish from England, says Neil. Not very good, mate. And also the Lions were slack today. Many thanks for your great commentary, Hamish, says John. And there as well. But Alex Mitchell, he had to be mad in the match. He scored himself a try. He was in control from the back. And yeah, it's the type of performance that I think a lot of people wanted to see from him, seeing as he did need to step up after the injury of Thomas Williams. Hamish, have a shave, hippie, says Martin Smith. I'm trying to grow what I like to call a beard, but it isn't working for me, unfortunately. So at this point, it just is kind of loose. And we'll see what happens with it. Box won't lose, way too good, says Gus. And there as well. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. Like I said, if you haven't already, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, check out the Kiwi Lads Instagram, flick us a message over on there saying maybe not what you thought of this game, because this game, once again, wasn't the greatest one we have seen of this series thus far. But let me know. You have 4 H's, don't talk yourself out of it. Our horses thoroughly enjoying your commentary. See you in the next one, says Sarah in there too. But nonetheless, thank you all very much for tuning in. And I will see you all in about 2 hours and 10 minutes time. Or in fact, no, it's just 2 hours for the next live stream, South Africa versus Italy.